3 o'clock on this Friday afternoon. Welcome aboard the Postgame Show alongside Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Appreciate you being with us. A lot to get to on today's program. I'm just sitting here texting Langston saying, hey, we're going to call you in just a minute, like 10 minutes or so. And then I look over and, nope, I'm wrong. Elijah's got him ready to go.
I beat you to it.
You did. You did. I was just going to prep him and say, we'll give you a couple of minutes to get ready. It's been a while. So Langston coming up here in just a second.
It's called a pop quiz.
Coach Bill McDonald will be with us, top of the 4 o'clock hour on the PGA. Tripp Eisenhower, a new regular on the show of the Golf Channel, will be with us as extra things have happened today at Valhalla.
Wait, something happened?
Yeah. And then Jack Veltri will – no. Then Aaron Fitt will join us.
Yep.
Of D1 Baseball. Then Jack Veltri will join us from Gamecock Central. So we have a jam-packed show, as I said on the Twitters today. And I do like jam.
You do love jam.
Yep.
You love jam bands. You love jam.
Band, jam.
I think we have set a program record of 5 guests on the show today.
Yeah.
So between me, you, and our 5 guests, we have a starting 5 plus 2 off the bench.
Strawberry jam, fig jam. You know what the best jam is? Oh, yeah, fig jam's good.
I would not assume it's very good. I don't even like Fig Newtons, so I wouldn't be a big fan of Fig Jam.
It's good. But my favorite jam is bacon jam. Have you had bacon jam?
I haven't, but it sounds good, and I like the concept. It sounds good in theory, and I could probably accept it. Well,
it does sound good in theory, and I can tell you with 100% certainty that it is good in practice.
Let's put it on a biscuit. Good to go.
Man, you can put it on. We were in Asheville a few weeks ago and went out to a place for lunch, and I had a short rib, like a grilled short rib sandwich with provolone and then like lettuce, tomato, pickles, and bacon jam. And I was like, can I have about 5 of these? It was amazing.
That does sound pretty good.
But yeah, you can put it on biscuit. You can put it on hamburger, bacon jam. Before I bring Langston in, let's just I set up the guests. Now, to be serious for a minute, listen, all that happened today at the PGA Championship is dominating the sports world in the United States. And it's incredibly unfortunate that someone lost their life this morning. If you didn't hear, I've kind of been getting bits and pieces around 5 o'clock this morning. And Elijah even helped me with this because initially I had heard that it was a patron, but apparently it was an employee, a vendor of some type, getting to the course early and getting ready to go, and somehow mistook where he was walking and walked directly into the path of, I guess, a shuttle bus.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And was pronounced dead at the scene. And as you can imagine, that snarled what was already a lot of traffic going into the golf course. And so Scottie Scheffler this morning, amongst many other golfers, had one of the early tee times. And look, any of you know, whether you like and watch a lot of golf or not, you get there like 2 to 3 hours before your tee time. Most of those dudes probably get there about 3 hours before. Because they've all got a routine. You stretch, you change clothes, you have a little breakfast, you hit the driving range, you hit the putting green, all that kind of stuff. So, he got there and had his credentials, had his car tags. The cars are all labeled as courtesy cars. That's part of what they do. That way the security and everybody knows who's supposed to be where. And apparently the police officer that ultimately ended up getting into the situation with Scottie was not part of the security detail from the police department that was assigned to the tournament. He was there as part of the investigative team with the fatality. And from what we've gathered, Scottie was told by those on the detail, hey, y'all just need to go around what they're doing. You got your tags, everything's good. You go around. And so, you're going at it's 5 miles an hour tops probably. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reasons, this particular officer, a detective from what I have read, wanted Scottie Scheffler to stop. Now, why? I don't know, because Scottie was not alone in terms of wanting to get around. And again, as pure coincidence would have it, and many of you have seen this by now, Jeff Darlington, who's one of the reporters covering this tournament for ESPN, and Jeff does NFL. He's one of their,
he's all over the place.
Yeah, he's one of their national reporters, and Jeff is very good at his job. Happened to literally be in the car behind Scottie Scheffler, so he's watching all this. He then started filming this. He's doing his job, so there's that. He's not being like a voyeur or something. He's doing his job, and at one point, there's even, you've seen it now, many of you have, Scottie Scheffler, like, turns to Jeff, is like, dude, can you help? Like, tell him, because apparently this arresting officer, not that he should, but this arresting officer did not know who Scottie Scheffler was from anybody else, despite the fact that Scottie's got official credentials and a courtesy car.
And that, courtesy.
You know, and I mean, not going to say that this particular policeman didn't care. So he tried to grab onto Scottie's car, which I still am baffled by. Even if you're going 2 to 5 miles an hour, why are you grabbing onto the car?
Wouldn't be my first move.
Yeah, I mean, you're not stopping a car.
No.
Like, if anything, you can run faster than that for a few seconds, and you put your hands up. Sir, I'm telling you, I need you to stop for a second. Again, it's raining. It's dark. You know, and there's responsibility on all sides here. I understand that, too. I'm not here to absolve Scottie Scheffler, and I'm not here to condemn the cop. You know, should Scottie have stopped a little more quickly? Yeah. Apparently, he went like 10 more yards. That's what they said. And he was like, all right, dude, what's up? Like, what are you doing here? Like, I was told I'm just trying to get out of the way is basically what Scottie says, if you paraphrase it. So he got arrested, cuffed. They took him to the county lockup for a minute, got his mug shot, put him in the jumpsuit. Within minutes, he was out on whatever bond. Back at the golf course, and again, he's having a hell of a day. Yeah, the crowd who already love him, wherever he plays, have been 100% behind him. So he's got that going for him, and he's also playing amazing golf right now. So what an odd day. But we will Trip Eisenhower, as I said, Coach McDonald's going to be with us. Bill was already scheduled to be with us to talk about the tournament from just a golfing perspective. Trip is a late add to the guest list today as we gather more information, and he'll be with us around 4:15 to discuss a little bit more about what's going on kind of behind the scenes and some of the things that he's heard about what's happening. But, it's not affecting Scottie's golf, and I do think this is going to end up being okay. I don't know that the Louisville police dropped some of the charges. I
have a good feeling that ends up being the case.
Something like that,
especially after the attention it's gotten.
Yeah.
And the amount of scrutiny that's going to follow.
And I think everybody seems to feel like this was all one big misunderstanding. But, again, I'm not sure why this policeman decided he needed to stop people. I'd like that question to be answered. Why are you stopping him if somebody else is telling him what to do? Where was the lack of communication between different authorities? Things like that. But, again, I come back around to what I told Terry and Tyler. The word is, and I've heard this before, but it's being reiterated today, if you ask pretty much any golfer on tour, who's the nicest, most accommodating, friendly guy out here? And they say Scottie Scheffler. So he's not a do you know who I am? Or get out of my way.
That's probably why he looked at Jeff Darlington and be like, don't make me have to do this car.
Dude,
Help me, Jeff.
Yeah, and apparently Jeff, they figured out who it was, whatever, and at that point the guy was like, he's going to jail. At that point the cop was mad, which is a cop's right, I suppose. At that point, like, listen, I gave you an order and you didn't heed said order, therefore you crossed a line. And again, when you're out there doing what you're doing and you're already on edge, I can appreciate that things can escalate beyond where you'd like them to be, but. It should all be okay. And again, the best thing for Scottie, honestly, he's playing golf. So
yeah, and you know what? Scottie can probably buy him another pair of pants. That reportedly there was a
ripping of pants.
Casualty of an $80 pair of police pants, and that was mentioned in the police report. And I think Scottie can earn enough to give him a couple more pair.
Autograph
his britches. Sorry for the misunderstanding, brother. Here's some pants.
So there's that scene set. We'll have more on what's going on in Louisville at the PGA Championship coming up for you in the 4 o'clock hour. Now we do, after that setup, bring on our very, very good friend Langston Moore, who Elijah had you on when I was away one time. I feel like I haven't talked to you on the air, at least. Thank God we still text each other from time to time, and I know that you like me. But I feel like I haven't talked to you on the airwaves, I don't know, since the Super Bowl. Does that sound right?
Nah, I think we maybe talked a little. No, that was Elijah. So I mean, it's been a minute. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, I'm getting close to having this roommate out of my house here soon. So we're getting close to senior day. Everything, party this. I don't have senior cut day that. I don't know what's going on in the world. Does she even go to school anymore? But nah, man, everything is good, and of course, still doing all the book stuff. So busy enough.
Yeah, no, it's good to have you. By the way, have you had bacon jam?
Absolutely. Back to that important subject. Forget all the traffic stops and all. I mean, again, I know somebody lost their life for all this stuff that happened, all the traffic stuff. But no, Bacon Jam, man. Shout out to Spotted Salamander. They got a phenomenal burger. You better get there early on Thursday because they put it up there with like Bacon Jam and all that. It's the juxtaposition. I think that's the word they use with the sweet and the salty.
Yeah.
And oh man, it's phenomenal. And don't sleep on Fig Jam, Elijah. I'm just telling you, Fig Jam, nice little brie cracker, something nice little during the holiday times.
Absolutely.
Not a fig guy. Just not enough.
No, that's okay. I'll tell you what I'll do. Fig jam, put a little butter and a splash of white wine in your pan after you make like a pork loin or something, and then glaze that over the top of your pork. Yep.
Okay. All right. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Now we're turning this show into what you're really tuning in to listen for.
Yeah. Food.
A little splash of white wine. Got it.
You could probably do red wine too. I guess I've probably done both, but the white wine actually just seems to make it pop a little more. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. A little bit more unctuous. I think that's another word they use during that time.
Unctuous.
Yeah,
I like that one. I like that one. Before I hit a break, I'll just ask you real quick. We'll just get this out of the way so we don't have to talk about them anymore. Carolina Panthers don't have a nationally televised game in primetime in the United States. They are the only one of 32 NFL teams that is in that boat. Is that because they're terrible or because TV doesn't like David Tepper or both?
TV probably doesn't like that football product they're going to put out there. As much as we want to see Xavier Legette and Dave Castillo and whoever the fifth choice for the Carolina Panthers job was, and David Tepper combined in there, I think TV just doesn't want to see the Panthers on there. And it's kind of just like, if the NFL is a nice big old mansion, that's the back part of the shed. We just going to work on that a little bit later. So just put that towards the back. Just, don't worry about cutting the bushes around that. We're going to get to that. And, eventually we'll fix that part.
Yeah. What is that out back? No, nothing.
It's under construction.
Yeah, it's all
under
good.
Construction for 5 years. When's it getting done? Don't worry about it. Don't ask.
Yeah. It's like a broken well. You don't want your kids running around out there. It's dangerous. Just it'll all be fine. Yeah. Langston Moore is with us, the former Gamecock D lineman, team captain, a longtime NFLer, husband, father. Again, although father now, about to be father from afar, as his daughter heads off to play college softball here. Like, will she go in the summer? Like, will it be soon?
Well, see, this is the other thing about her going to Howard University. This, real prestigious. I shout out to South Carolina. I flunked out of the Dollar-Moore #1 business school. That's my claim to fame. But, my daughter, she's going to go up there earlier for some type of medical. I was like, man, you just don't want to have any type of summer. So short answer, they're going up there for some type of internship. And of course they got the softball workouts, whatever in the fall. So
they got that Howard University Medical Center is something else, man. I know that much. So my daughter lives right around that area, and it's a crown jewel of the area. Lots to get to with Langston, talking NFL, Gamecocks, and a whole lot more. A lot of baseball to get to, a lot of golf to get to, and it's a Friday. So hey, more food probably works its way into the conversation. You're listening to the Postgame Show. 19 minutes after 3 o'clock on this Friday afternoon. Welcome back into the postgame show. Jay and Elijah with you. Appreciate you being with us. Our good friend Langston Moore on the guest line. First time for me talking with Langston on the airwaves in a while. So I'm glad that he is back. And, of course, we'll talk more about the Just a Chicken series of books. We did, you know what I did yesterday when we said to the audience you were coming on, I said that you have now become almost as elusive as the great Kev Roche. You know,
without any of the talent that he has, so he's got a reason for running around here and doing stuff with ESPN, and congrats to Kev. He's got that new addition.
Yeah.
So he's drawing. He's drawing like his life depends on it. There's nothing that inspires that art like having to get formula. So, right. But nah, it's. It's been good. Been busy. Busy is always good, man. You can't hit a moving target, Jay. You know how that works.
I do indeed, sir. Believe me, I've been all over the place these last couple of weeks. I hear you. And we had one graduate from college, amongst other things. So I'm in the boat you're in a different way, or you're in the boat I'm in, or something like that. But empty nest is weird, man. That's all I'll say about that. It's weird. A lot going on around the National Football League. Let's kind of get your take on a few things here. First off, you look at the Chicago Bears and what they've done. And they've named Caleb Williams a starter, and basically the most he's done, it seems like, is put on a jersey and do a photo shoot. When you look at what they want to do, and you look at how they made that deal with the Panthers, and they've got some pieces, this league, can they make a quick turnaround? And by quick, can they be a playoff team, Langston?
Yeah, I mean, the NFC is going to be the path, but I don't know. I mean, the NFC North, that's all. I mean, you got Love, you got the Detroit Lions. Of course, you got Minnesota, even though you don't know what's going to go on with. I mean, is it going to be Sam Darnold's going to get you up there, even though with the young kid? The whole, I think all of this Bears, it all comes down to Matt Eberflus. And again, that was the biggest thing. We knew a lot of, they were positioning themselves to make a lot of moves, to get these draft picks, the stockpile a lot of draft picks. They got some good offensive pieces. So obviously you need to talk about Caleb Williams, the lines up. You obviously had a whole wealth of quarterbacks to choose from. But it all comes back to Matt Eberflus. And I think I don't think he's the answer to the question. And again, he's a great defensive coach. We know he has that lineage. I love what he runs, that defense, that kind of old. He's kind of the last little vestiges of the Tampa cover 2 stuff out there. So a lot of defensive linemen getting up the field. So they do have that built. They do have a track record for winning and getting on board when it looked like they were, shoveling dirt on him midway through the season last year. And then they, of course, turned around and won, I think it was like 5 or 6 games towards the end there with a quarterback that's not even there now. So, again, Caleb Williams, I know everybody's betting on quarterbacks, young quarterbacks that come in there. It's always, a head scratching to me because, again, I think I know what a good quarterback looks like. And then, again, that's totally different. But to your point, though, how they're managing this too far already thus far, Caleb Williams, it might be one of the things as where, he walks into the building and it's understood, yeah, I'm the quarterback, I'm the guy. But you don't announce that right now. You don't let him go all off. I mean, And again, it's just a little bit of humbleness, and I know it's a different type of NFL, a different type of football. Younger guys are being pushed to the forefront, but this is the thing. It can get good. I think it's just more about the person than the player and the ability. I think there's tons of ability right there, but when things get rocky, when things get rough, and when people want to knock your block off because you are that kid with the painted nails or whatever, how are you going to handle that? And I don't know. I don't like how he's handled adversity before. He hasn't really shown to be a winner. He has a lot of great pieces around him, but you better be a front runner. You better keep him motivated because, again, I just don't engender motivation when I think of Matt Eberflus, and he's the guy that's going to get Chicago to where they need to be.
Now, Langston, as you know, as everybody that listens to the show knows, we are the #1 Lions respecters of anybody outside of Detroit between your playing time there, Dan Campbell, no relation, but I'm accepting of his family anyway. It came out, that the Lions are going to get the first Sunday night game against Matthew Stafford, so Matt Stafford gets to come back to Ford Field. One, how excited are you for that matchup, to see that again in a regular season setting? And 2, how excited are you about the Lions' future, because now they've locked up Amon-Ra St. Brown long-term, they've locked up Penei Sewell long-term, and they just backed up the Brinks truck to keep Jared Goff around. So how excited are you for this Lions team in this division, which has seemingly got better overnight because of what the Bears did this offseason?
And again, it's been a build, and that's one of the other things Dan Campbell mentioned. Like last year was so heartbreaking having that, of course, the Cowboys game and then losing the game with the 49ers there towards the end. You know, this is great, but everybody's retooling, everybody's reloading. And so, again, shout out to the Lions for, one, getting that game, again, prime time to open up this NFL season. They did it last year, and they beat the Kansas City Chiefs. They started off the season well. They're getting a chance to do it again. I don't like it this time with a healthy Matthew Stafford. I'd rather have him limping in there later. But, again, it's going to be a magical, phenomenal game to kick off the whole NFL season right there on that Sunday night. But, yeah, they definitely backed up the Brinks truck. They paid all these players. Again, I thought it was a little bit too, early for Penesu. Maybe you stretch that one more time. But, again, he's a young dude. Keep him healthy. You already got an extra year on him because he kind of sat out that 1 year, just like our boy from the Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver. They all stayed out that year and just, worked on playing ball. That's kind of the back end of that COVID year. So, I thought that was probably the head-scratching thing. I know a lot of people are like, man, Jared Goff, you putting that 50 burger up there. You putting that stupid, again, like I said, with the whole Kirk Cousins deal. I mean, the price of quarterback market, if you want to buy a house, it's going to be inflated, plus the mortgage is going to be up there too. That's just what it is. Jared Goff, again, is a guy who's been proven that he's won. He's a winner. He's taken them, short sample size with Detroit, but also just over his career. So, again, that's something you got to pay him. Maybe you don't want to pay him one of those deals, but it's one of the cost of business. And I think somebody put it very, very poignantly the other day. Last year, Jared Goff put those numbers up last year. Man, he's overperforming his contract. He put those same numbers up this year with that 50 burger number up there. Like, he's underperforming. We need to get some money back, but this is the game, and this is what it has to be when you're talking about a quarterback. And he's the perfect quarterback for that system, for that coach, and that's the biggest thing when you're talking about trying to build a championship run. You got to have all of that in there, plus some arm talent, plus guys around you. But Jared Goff is right in that sweet spot for tipping the Detroit Lions over to have just what they need to be a Super Bowl championship team.
You think they told Mrs. Ford how much they paid Jared?
Again, I think it's just a line item for her. Look here, man. Don't. He sees some balance sheets now. Again, it's cool, but you want to do an electric car? What is this line item over here, Wilbur? What do you mean we got how many places? Is that 9 places over there? So I'm saying she's seen some numbers, and I think for her, it's just another asset, and it's probably an exciting asset because you can see it run around and throw the football around, and she probably thinks he's a little cute. But other than that, it's a lot better than looking at. I tell this story all the time. Years ago, when they used to bring out like all the cars at practice, when it's always the great thing. You play for the Detroit, Ford family. They bring out all these model cars, all these cool things. So a lot of the cars you see out here now, they had way back in whatever in Detroit. But the only person who would ever have access to that car would be like Megatron or like Roy Williams or somebody. Be like, man, can we get that? No, you can't get this one that is all electric and is going to be out in like 5-10 years. And now I feel old because those cars are like the standard. I can just go get my own now, but not without that Detroit Lions discount.
I don't know why, but just for a second there, I got that Eartha Kitt, Eddie Murphy thing going on in Boomerang.
Oh man, come on now. She wears the glasses all the time for a reason. I know somebody who likes the side eye. You know what I'm saying? I too am a married man, and have to get my eyes right with these sunglasses sometimes. So I think she's doing the same thing.
That's all I got, man. Marcus.
Jared.
All right.
The mental imagery of that.
It was a smoky locker room.
Boomerang is Eddie Murphy's most underrated film. But I love Boomerang. It is so, so, so funny. It's so good.
It's up there, man.
It is.
It's up there. Young Chris Rock. It's up there.
I mean, what do you? Well, I can't. Never mind. I was going to say something, but now I can't get away with that particular scene. I'll have to.
Rest in peace, John Witherspoon.
I was getting ready to say. Yeah, my wife and I still say that. We're like, yeah, don't worry about it, baby. We'll coordinate.
I wore this mushroom belt. I'm trying to impress
Gerard,
you,
your dad got the mushroom belt. Yes. All right, that's good.
Yeah.
There's our Boomerang visuals. We'll come back, talk some Gamecock spring football, some of the things that Langston thinks about this ball club, and a lot more with our good friend Mr. Moore as the postgame show continues. Tell you about our good friend Ben Cato and his team. Sorry, I'm just still laughing. So, Ben, at least you like radio and will forgive me for that. Ben Cato and his team at Cato's Power Equipment. Listen, a lot of the companies that they represent, Toro, Steel, having some big sales right now. But listen, there's a lot of models in there, and Ben basically says if somebody wants it, chances are very good that it is on sale right now at Cato's. Stop in and see them. I say it many times, whether you do it for yourself, whether you do it for a living, Cato's is the place to turn for all of your power equipment needs. Mowers, saws, edgers, blowers, you name it. Plus sales, service, advice. The advice is the best part, too. Like, don't cut your grass when it's raining. Things like that. 4012 West Beltline Boulevard, always online at catospowerequipment.com. I love the guys at Cato's. Talking some spring football, little off-season NFL, off-season Gamecocks. Our good friend Langston Moore is with us here on the guest line. Coming up top of the 4 o'clock hour, Coach Bill McDonald talking PGA. We'll also be joined by Trip Eisenhower of the Golf Channel next hour. And Then we'll switch over to baseball for the second half of the show, basically. Aaron Fitt will be with us from D1, and Jack Veltri on the scene in Knoxville. Carolina did fall last night 9-3. Most of you probably already know that. We did have a couple of hits on the text line asking about potential weather delay in Knoxville. As best we can tell, everything is going on as planned. I did text Stuart Lake. He said, for now, everything's good. We have our own special amateur meteorologist in studio.
Our correspondent on Tennessee
right.
weather.
Elijah's dad, Frank Campbell, is hanging out with us, and he got the Tennessee radar pulled up, and all looks good later.
That's right. We got a thumbs up right now. The radar as of, 2:30? We looked at it at 2:30. Looks like everything's good. The worst will get past in the next hour or two, so I expect us to be playing baseball as scheduled.
Well, I mean, your dad lives in Tennessee, so I'm going to take his word for it even more than just the radar.
That's right. Yes. He's got that built-in Tennessee weather-dar up there in the noggin that he can resort to.
That's what we need, man.
So now we have even more of an accurate assessment of the weather.
Langston's from Charleston. He has that. It's like, this afternoon in August, hot with some rain, right? Every day.
Never around that second two-a-day practice. Always in the middle, or always right after, but never right when it was. I don't know how that works, but some coaches make a deal. I don't know.
The weather gets your schedule. That's why the weather gets a copy of your schedule when the two-a-days are. And it's like, okay, we're not going to ruin any of this. I imagine make sure you do both.
I imagine you and Preston have had a few conversations in the drives around the state as you do your different school hits about this current iteration of Carolina football. They're flying under everybody's radar right now, and I mean we've known you for years and years talking about the Gamecocks, and from really good teams to teams that weren't very good to the teams in the middle. And I'm not really sure where this particular ball club is right now. A lot more new faces because of the climate around college athletics, but. Do you like them being under the radar as much as they are? Is that good for this program right now?
Well, I mean, we're going to do enough promotion and, being in the SEC, a lot of these things, there's enough that forward facing for the brand is going to be fine. But as far as like the football, the old kind of, me getting as I get older and older, more and more like sounding like Lou Holtz and cantankerous. Like I like to not, fly under the radar. There's probably a little Lou Holtz joke in there somewhere. But like I think it especially for the team and how it's built, a lot of young players, a lot of tradition, a lot of transition. Obviously, Lenore Sellers is going to be the guy, and that's going to be the straw that makes this thing go. Stirs the drink for us. So, he's been in the program, but, not having that preseason hype, that pressure, we know around there's probably a whole tons of pressure, but, stepping into somebody's shoes like a Spencer Rattler, because he's been so phenomenal for us for the last couple of years, winning games for us, getting those hard yards, those first downs. So, sorely going to be missed, but, Lenoris is a guy who can come in there and do some of those things. But I like the stance of, being underrated. And, I think it's one of those deals. It's kind of for us. I think across college football, period, especially with a lot of the transfer portals and guys jockeying to try to get players, and the roster looks a lot different from the beginning of spring to what it looks like now. And, look at it a year ago what the roster looks like. So a lot of moving parts. It's like, like a pro team, but with a lot more turnover. So it's really interesting to see what the product is going to be because, again, we can kind of hear rumblings and see certain kind of things. But I think that kind of leads to some of the gamesmanship with our offensive coordinators. Like, man, I'm not showing any of this stuff. I'm not letting you know who's my jump ball guy in the slot. I'm not putting any of that stuff out there for the spring game. And again, if that's going to gain you one or two advantages in the game or that second week against Kentucky, so be it. I'm all for that type of secrecy and all that type of stuff. But we got to be working on our bread and butter stuff all the other times when the camera's not around and folks ain't looking.
And while the whole team, as a whole, flies under the radar, the one thing that I don't think should fly under the radar is the experience of this defensive line and some of the edge rushers that you have that are coming back or are brought in. I think Dylan Stewart, there's a lot of expectation with him, even coming in as a true freshman, and I think he'll be able to perform to it. But you look at the defensive line, I mean, Tonka Hemingway, TJ Sanders, Boogie Huntley, a lot of guys that were stalwarts on this defensive line last year that, quite frankly, by the Kentucky and Clemson game, were as good as anybody else in the SEC at stopping the run and being able to put pressure on other quarterbacks. I think it's pretty fair expectation to say that coming in for this whole season, they carry that over and do really well. And I don't know if I'm maybe overshooting it a little bit, but I still think we're looking at maybe a top 5 or 6 unit in the entire SEC when it comes to that defensive front, and that's the one thing that shouldn't fly under the radar.
And again, that's music to my ears because, again, there's always going to be, how is Georgia going to replace or how are they going to reload? Of course, there's tons and tons of storylines down at Alabama. Tennessee is going to have what they're going to have. Florida, they think everything's going up in flames with Billy Napier. They're draining the swamp, whatever it is. But for us, we have collectively put a whole bunch of a great defensive lineman together, young guys, transfer guys that have been, and again, testament to the defensive staff for those guys putting them all together, recruiting them, but also retaining and developing. We had multiple players of the week last year, not just in the whole hum games, but against Georgia and SEC contention consecutively. So again, knowing they're getting the coaching, knowing who that guy is out there, tons and tons of experience. Hopefully, they get their just dues because again, this is something that's true and dear to my heart. You like to see the defensive linemen get out there and get their praises, but I'd much rather you see these guys trample them and do it like they did in the spring game over and over again, and like we've seen the flashes individually, collectively, because we are really deep, and it feels like I've been saying this for years and years that that is kind of the cornerstone of this team, the defensive line, not because of all of the talent. There is a whole bunch of talent there, but because of the depth, and there's a lot of guys that's been there. Like you said, Boogie Huntley's the guys who's been there in and around this program through the ups and kind of some of the downs through the last couple of years. So those are the guys that are going to have to, get everybody going during the summertime, focusing on development, focusing on making sure they play up to that par, up to that level. Because, again, it's one thing to have it all in the paper and the clippings, but you just don't want to be a paper champion. You want to see them out there actually stopping some guys on second and short, third and short.
How excited should Carolina fans be that On Three's National College Football Scouting Director, Cody Belair, on a national program, the Andy Staples Show, said Lenoris Sellers could be a dark horse Heisman candidate? And how would you react when hearing something like that?
Bring up John Witherspoon again. Just be quiet. Don't tell him. But no. I mean, essentially, the cat's going to be out the bag just because of just so many things. There's one, his talent, his acumen, how he plays. We've seen him turn the corner. I have visions of him just getting that pick on in the games last year, being able to turn the edge, turn the corner on the other SEC opponents. So that plus coupled with the goggles and the glasses, I think that's going to just get a whole bunch of national attention. But hopefully he gets it for the right things. And I think, some of the reports and some of the things that I've heard internally, just the relationships with quarterbacks, with the wide receivers and different folks that they have with Lenoris and his leadership is probably one of the biggest things that everybody's been touting. That's very, very promising. But again, how's it going to be when it's, game 2 up there in Kentucky and, Stoops is trying to throw everything from bringing the slot blitz over here to the safety blitz and trying to do everything he's going to, I'm sure I'll talk about this at length when we get to that point. There's nothing that defensive coaches and defensive coordinators love to do than get that young meat out there and then knock him all around and have him have the game of his worst life. Oh, man, this first SEC road contest, he'll never forget this. And so, again, you're going to have to weather these storms that are coming. But I think he is the guy, and his temperament is going to be the one that can do that, especially at such a young age.
Before I get Langston out of here, let me remind all of you, athletesandartists.net is the website for all of your Just a Chicken book info, the Button Gut podcast, and a whole lot more, how to get Langston and Coach P into a school near you. Everything is there. Just a Chicken Little, used to was a rooster. And you can see what Kev Roche has done. And maybe we'll put up some bacon jam recipes, or you can get somebody on the Button Gut to do that at some point, huh?
I'm gonna write this into to upper management. We need a food. Of course, we already have the Button Gut stuff, but we need to just go ahead and get this rolling food log every day. Friday musings, bacon jam. What can I do with this tonight on a Friday night? Let's get wild. I don't know. We can start doing some type of digs like that.
I gotta find.
What's my man who used to end?
We go out.
What's my man who used to end up?
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
What was my man for 60 Minutes that used to always end up everything? You know what bugs me? That's what it is. We'll just come up with a food version of that, right?
I got to go find something with bacon jam on it tonight. That's what I was going to say.
You've talked it up.
Yeah, where I'll find a restaurant somewhere in town that's got it, and that's what I'm doing. Great to have you back on, sir. Best to the family. I know it's all about to change. We'll talk to you very, very soon. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys. Be safe.
That is our good friend Langston Moore. Remove the chains to follow along on Twitter. And again, athletesandartists.net. Great website to visit for all the stuff that he and Coach P and Kev are up to. Halftime, or excuse me, did it. Post-game show continues after this. Welcome back into the post-game show.
There you go.
The post-game show.
The more you say it, the more the average increases.
Well,
right? You're like 1 for 3. So you're 2 for 3 going into that. So get it above 70%.
The post-game show. Sorry, I was just telling your dad. Elijah's dad's hanging out with us today. Mr. Frank Campbell is hanging, and we're having a good time. We were just talking food during the break.
It's the bacon jam that probably got them all. That got them all. Got the brain working.
Oh, it's good stuff. But I told him that about twice a month it seems like I still will let out halftime show.
You were due for one. It's been a while. It has
with
been
Langston
a while.
especially. I mean, because how many visits did Langston make?
Countless.
On a Friday halftime show.
Countless.
And usually in the later hour. So it just came back. It was just natural.
Yep. Hard to kick that habit.
It is.
I don't have that habit because I've only been on one show the entire time here.
This is the post-game show.
That's right.
Not the halftime show. Scottie Scheffler, we can't hear it right now, but Scottie Scheffler is speaking after his round. He was 5 under today. He's 9 under for the championship and in third at this point in time. Xander Schauffele is out on the course amongst others who Rory is out there having a good round, it looks like. So, but Scheffler will certainly be amongst the final groups tomorrow. I honestly, I can't possibly imagine as I can sit here and watch him I don't have a closed caption or anything, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's not talking about what happened this morning, considering it's a pending case, right?
I mean, Ben Portnoy is. I don't know if Ben's there, but Ben's at least watching it. You know,
I know Ben's a big golf fan.
Friend of the show, Ben Portnoy. He tweets, "Quote: I did spend some time stretching in a jail cell this morning. That was a first for me." End quote. Scottie Scheffler with the quote of the century.
Yeah. Well,
if you would have shown me that tweet,
and they're showing the timeline: 6:01 detained, 7:28 booked, 8:40 released, 9:12 arrives at Valhalla, 10:08 tee time. Now, all the tee times this morning were delayed, but not because of Scottie, because of the investigation into a traffic fatality. Because there was also some reports that, it looks like the PGA is helping him out by delaying his tee time. No.
It was delayed prior.
Everything was delayed, and that had already been announced. As soon as they knew that there was a traffic fatality, everything got pushed back by that hour and a half. So it had nothing to do with Scottie directly. I think initially there were some reports that he's world number one. They're going to look out for him. That wasn't the case. Now here's another thing too, because somebody said, well, had there not been this delay, then he would have missed his tee time. And it's like, y'all, had there not been this delay,
he would not have been in the position.
Then everybody's just going to the golf course like normal. That's
we're doing the butterfly effect thing all wrong.
Oh, it's all wrong. Exactly. Yeah. That's not what happened here. So that was I heard that. I forget again. It was something this morning, and I was like, no, that's not how this works. There would. That's not how this works.
Cause and effect. Our cause and effect detection is a little off societally today.
So, and again, I feel awful for the family that lost a loved one, and I understand that in a situation like this, this tournament and life goes on, and again, Scottie, there's an arraignment that at least for now is scheduled for Tuesday morning. Again, Elijah, your dad and I were just talking off air in a previous break and I agree with him. Yeah, the police department has to look out for their own here.
Yeah.
And some of these charges may be dropped, and there may be some communication ultimately, and everything gets dropped or not. I don't know. I don't know, but it's pretty clear that both sides have admitted to why there was such a level of miscommunication.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that.
Where this was avoidable.
Yeah. And again, if certain cops on the detail had talked to others that weren't on the detail, but all were there together, hey, we're sending the golfers around. They're coming around. Everything's good because he got there super early. Again, he was arrested
before 6 a.m.
Yeah, he was arrested at 6:01. So whatever he got involved in was happening in the 5 o'clock hour. We'll keep you updated. Again, we're going to talk more golf about what's going on at the course. Bill McDonald will be here in just a few, and Trip Eisenhower of the Golf Channel will join us in about 20 minutes or so. On this date, 1970, the great Henry Aaron got his 3,000th hit. He would go on to have 771 more hits. Again, you do that math, and I was telling Elijah, my favorite stat about Hank Aaron, you take away each of his 755 home runs, and he still has more than 3,000 hits. Hank Aaron was amazing.
Can't say that about anybody else.
On this date, 1970, 3,000th hit. Hour 2 coming up.
If you missed out on Prize Picks, which is America's #1 fantasy sports app, you missed out on their promotion with the more than 0.5 points for Caitlin Clark in her women's basketball professional debut, then fear not, because they have promotions all the time. Prize Picks offers weekly promotions and special offers for the biggest moment in sports, and they might even have some for tonight. Look, I've got a couple entries going on tonight, specifically with one of the playoff games. I got less on Jalen Brunson points at 34.5. That's a lot of points. I don't know if he's scoring all of that, especially in Indiana. And I got more points for Tyrese Halliburton on 20. I feel pretty good about that. Join along. Download the app today. Use promo code 1075GAME for a first deposit match up to $100. That's promo code 1075GAME for that first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy with our friends at Prize Picks.
4 o'clock on this Friday afternoon. Welcome back in. Second hour of the postgame show coming at you from the Herndon Chevy Studios in downtown Columbia, South Carolina, alongside Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Appreciate you being with us. Thanks to our good friend Langston Moore for joining us in the 3 o'clock hour. Guest heavy all day long. Another one of our very favorite people and somebody who probably ranks not too far behind Langston Moore in all-time appearances, which may be a dubious honor.
Do you celebrate that? Do you hang the banner, Phil, or do we hang a banner somewhere, or is this one you'd rather not tell anybody how many times you've appeared?
I'm proud of it.
Okay,
There's one.
I am.
There's one.
So
yes,
he doesn't hate coming on.
victory.
We'll hang that banner in our studio.
Yeah. Coach Bill McDonald is with us, longtime Gamecock men's golf coach, and I know you didn't have the week you wanted, so I'll start that for you. But you made the tournament. You've made it. What, 16 of 18? Is that right? Mm-hmm. So y'all, this is a routine thing for you. But y'all, we've talked about it with you, and we've said to the audience, y'all had a very unfortunate injury situation with a traffic accident, and never really seemed to be able to get the team back on track because of it.
Yeah, it was a difficult spring. The team was probably playing its best golf or trending that way when we had the bus accident, and very fortunate that everyone came out okay, more or less. But our number one player at the time, Nathan Franks, he was able to play for us this week, but pretty rusty, and had a great final round.
Yeah.
He shot 66 the last round. But when you look at us at SECs and then what we did at regionals, I mean, we're the numbers don't lie. We're one player short of being able to compete at a really high level. I mean, our guys gave us a chance. I mean, we had a chance at SECs to make our top 8 match play on the back 9, and we had a chance to make it through the regional on the back 9. And honestly, as a coach and sort of being shorthanded, that's the most I can probably ask for. I mean, we had 3 players in the top 20 and didn't advance.
Yeah, that's tough, man.
So
I saw some of the scores that some guys were shooting too.
Yeah, it was a tough week, but I'm really proud of how not only how they handled the accident and the aftermath of that as a group, but just the last couple of years have been tough.
Yeah,
and we're I think we're trending in the right direction.
Yeah, that's good. No, I know you are. And again, I saw some of the scores that the guys were shooting at the Baton Rouge Regional. I was like, whoa, okay, competitive event to say, and a lot of SEC teams were there that you guys knew, right? So there was that too. And did Auburn end up winning the region?
Auburn has maybe the best team in the country, and then the weird way we do things is LSU was hosting, but they were a 7 seed.
Yeah,
so they're not a 7 seed on their home.
Is that a
course.
venue thing as much as anything else?
We don't. We have to do a predetermined site situation. It can't be earned just because of all the logistics of hosting a golf tournament. I don't particularly care for it, to be honest with you, but them being a 7 seed, that being LSU and on their home course, I mean, that's in 5 teams advancing. You got to jump them,
right? More
or less going into it. But I mean, we played hard and tough week, but now we just gotta regroup, recruit hard.
I'll say now it's recruiting season, right?
Yeah,
the summer
sure
recruiting season. We've talked with you about that at a couple things you're doing when we're talking about the summer majors. How did you react to the news of Scottie Scheffler this morning?
Well, and Tripp's going to join us here in a little bit. Obviously, Tripp sends me a text this morning, and I'm trying to catch up on laundry and yard work and got all these things. I'm like, what are you talking about? I look at my phone. I'm like, have you seen this Scottie Scheffler stuff? And I'm like, oh my gosh, my heart's saying, something bad had happened. And of course, go to my phone and see this mess. And I just would love to hear. Okay, so they just had the baby. So Scottie's wife's at home, and he calls, yeah, honey, how was your day? Well, I hit 15 greens. I shot 5 under and got arrested this morning. I mean, but everything's fine. I mean, the fact that he went out there and played as well as he did.
Yeah.
I mean, why he didn't wear the orange jumpsuit?
That's what Elijah said.
I wish
he would.
That would have been.
To be able to win a major championship in a jumpsuit that you got from your jail sentence and your pending felony charge would be one of the funniest things in the history of the sport. Like, we're not going to forget this morning for as long as we live, but it'd be more memorable if you just really bought into it.
Right.
Played it up.
And then the fact that the owner of Valhalla went and picked him up, it was like, no. I'm going to go get my guy. We'll go get him back here. I mean, if it's me, I'm still there, and I'm looking at somebody in the corner of a cell going, How you doing, man?
Yeah, right. Well, and he said, apparently, Elijah just read a quote that Ben Portnoy shared that Scottie did say, "Yeah, I was doing my stretching in a jail cell."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure. I mean, that stretching's important.
Yeah. Oh, you got to.
He knew he was going to play.
Yeah, yeah. So and he made it, and he made it with an hour to spare. So that's good. We'll talk more about the Scottie situation. Bill just alluded to it. Trip Eisenhower of the Golf Channel will be back on with us here in just a few minutes. So we'll talk with Trip. In the meantime, a guy that you've been high on for years, Xander Schauffele. I can remember when he was much younger, and you were saying, "Listen, this kid's going to be the real deal. He's not a kid anymore. He hadn't got his major yet, but he's played very well in them." Yesterday with a brilliant 62, and he is currently 1 under today, playing on number 6 as we speak. I'm trying to see if he is a back 9. I think he's going 1 through 18 today, not 10, and then starting on the back. But it's 62 yesterday. Morikawa, a brilliant 65 today, and he's got his majors.
Yeah.
But what do you like about what Xander's doing?
Well, he did this last year, right? So, I mean, we're used to Xander being in contention. I told one of our parents in Baton Rouge this week, I said, I'm going to keep picking Xander until he wins one of these things. He's so good. The golf course is soft. I watched a good bit of it yesterday evening, and balls that would normally bounce out of the fairway that are landing, there's just errant shots aren't being penalized quite like you want to see in a major. Hopefully things will dry out and firm up. I think the weather's getting out of there now, and but they've got a soft golf course. You've got a Nicklaus design golf course, which means that it's going to tend to favor the ball strikers. The ball's played in the air. The guys that can play the ball in the air, that is, to a really high level. Look at who's won there in the past. Rory, obviously Tiger. So I think the golf course is very gettable. There's still enough rough, and some if you're wild off the tee or something like that, you're going to have some issues. But the greens are soft, fairways are soft, and you got to hope for firmer, tougher conditions over the weekend. I don't mind seeing low scores as long as someone doesn't get out away from the pack and just run away. I just want to see a really competitive dogfight over the weekend, and I think it's setting up that way.
It feels like it, yeah. I mean, again, Morikawa is done at 11 under, so he's set the bar for the weekend for now, at least. Now, again, Xander can continue to play well and sort of reset it. Scottie Scheffler's done at 9 under. Thomas Dittrey of Belgium also at 9. Austin Eckroat, who's coming around. Mark Hubbard is having a good day. He had a 65 yesterday, and he's nearly finished today. He's at 8 under. Tony Finau's at 8 under. And Harris English is at 7. So there's a pretty tight group. And, again, there's plenty of guys that are out on the course. Rory's out on the course right now. Sahith Theegala played well yesterday. He's out on the course right now. He had a 65 yesterday. He's coming around, too, Theegala.
Yeah, Sahith is a wonderful player, Pepperdine product. The golf course this afternoon, there are a lot of guys just getting started, and I think, you're just not going to see. I checked the wind. You're not going to see a whole lot of wind this afternoon or tomorrow. Maybe a little bit gusty as that front gets out of there, but it's these guys are going to have to stay. I mean, the cut looks like it's going to be around even, and that's pretty low for a major. Mm-hmm. So that even 1 under range, but as long as there's a pack of guys there, it should be an exciting weekend, and I'm. Personally, I would just love to see Xander win one.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday, hard to top what he did yesterday. You shoot a 62 and break a course record. I mean, it's hard to follow that up knowing you got 3 more days standing between you and that first major, and with what Colin did today, too, really storming back and taking that lead before Xander gets to the first tee. What, I guess, if you're coaching Xander right now, you get to follow him around. How do you keep him kind of in that mode to where you still need to be able to bring what you brought yesterday, even though when you're not probably going to shoot 62 again?
Mm-hmm. One of the hardest things mentally is when you shoot a 62, a lot of things have to go your way. You're probably hooping in some putts you maybe get a break and get an errant tee shot, hits a tree and bounces out in the fairway, something like that. I mean, usually a 62 involves some good fortune. I think he just wants to play a good solid round, stay. I mean, they're all like, not to just because it's in Louisville and we just had the Kentucky Derby. They're jockeying for position, right?
Good pun, A+. Nice.
Yeah,
nice. Well done.
Yeah, you're just wanting to be in those last few groups for the weekend. That's really the key to the first 2 days of a major. Having the weather issues, the delay, all the circus around Scottie. There's a lot of I'm sure, and y'all have been to events. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of murmur.
Yeah.
The golf crowd go, ooh, what's going on around here? So it'd be kind of cool to be up there. But you're if I'm coaching him, I'm saying just go play a solid round. And the mental thing is you got to look forward, not back. I mean, the 62 is behind you. You put yourself in position. So let's rock and roll on the weekend.
I should have asked you this. I maybe have before. You played this course, right?
I have been out there.
Okay.
The weather got us the day I was supposed to play, but I have been on property.
Okay. I know that this is one of the things that lured Rick Pitino to Louisville was that he got membership at Valhalla. So apparently that's just a little side story. The Live guys are back out here. Brooks is playing pretty well. I know that DeChambeau had an eagle off the fairway on 17 or 18 yesterday. Cam Smith is doing all right. As you look at them, and I'm not here to take shots, except at one of those guys, and I'm not going to name him.
Your boy.
I don't even think he's in the field. Is he in the field? Is Reed playing? I don't think he's in the field. Anyway, how you looking at them?
I still don't. It's so hard. Other than Brooks, like I don't know if I really trust. And Cam Smith and Brooks are really my two that I would trust in a major because they just are freaks and can handle just about anything. But I just think as this Live thing goes on, like John Rahm looked really bad.
Yeah.
I felt like yesterday, like he did not look right. I don't know if this 54-hole thing over the long term is good for them. They're going to have to figure that out. The way the majors are shaping up, I mean, Brooks is coming in really good form, and we've seen him win in the past, coming in not good form.
Well, I was going to say,
So,
I just
mean,
think
it doesn't really matter.
We've talked about him enough. I mean, he just yes, I'll show up for the majors, and I'll probably beat you.
Yeah,
or at least most of you.
I will say that DeChambeau is on a golf course that this really suits him because if like what we saw with Augusta, I think that caught up with him, the really breezy conditions and having to shape shots and feel things and all that. If it's soft and they're not getting a lot of wind and DeChambeau's bombing it, that suits him pretty well. But always been a big Cam Smith fan, and I'll root for him for sure.
Coach Bill McDonald is with us, a longtime Gamecock men's golf coach. We'll take a break here. Trip Eisenhower, a longtime friend of Bill's, will be with us. He's of the Golf Channel. Talk about what's going on with Scottie and look more to the second half of the PGA Championship this weekend. You're listening to the Postgame Show.
Look, weight loss is a journey that's different for everybody, right? No two cases are normally the same. Everybody's got different goals. And I was one of those. I had a different goal. I wanted to drop about 15 pounds going into last month. And my friends at Columbia Secret for Weight Loss helped me get a plan and to be able to achieve my goal. And I surpassed that. I am now 20 pounds down since then, and I have been able to continue to keep dropping that weight because of now an advantageous, healthier living lifestyle, better habits for the future, and something that I can sustain over the long term. And look, my friends Paul Grant and Shaylin over at Columbia Secret for Weight Loss didn't require me to take any pills, no shots, no extra exercise, but a plan that worked well for me. I'm eating better, I'm sleeping a whole lot better, and it's had a really good effect. If you are interested and would like to have your free consultation, call 803-824-4210 or go to ColumbiaSecretForWeightLoss.com. Results may vary.
Welcome back into the postgame show on this Friday afternoon. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell with you. Coach Bill McDonald in studio with us. And, again, we're really excited. A few months ago when Bill introduced us to his good friend Trip Eisenhower of the Golf Channel. And, Trip, we told you, man, once this happened that you'd be on the program way more than you ever anticipated. But we do appreciate you. How you doing?
I'm great. No, I love it, guys. This is fun. Let's enjoy it.
All right, so, Bill's already told us, that you guys had an interaction this morning about Scottie and his level of surprise. You cover this sport for a living every day for, obviously, a channel that's dedicated to it. So your reaction, you've lived this life. What was Trip Eisenhower like this morning around, 6:15?
Well, I mean, my first reaction was knowing Scottie, this was a complete overreaction by the police. Now, I didn't know there was a fatality involved, and they were doing a different investigation. But obviously, the police department needs to be held a little bit accountable because they were – one officer apparently was directing Scottie to go the way he went. Mm-hmm. Which I can tell you, as a player trying to get in the tournament, you're going to follow police officers' orders. That's what we do. But you're in a courtesy car, and I knew that. I mean, it's marked all over the thing. It's a Lexus vehicle, and it's got PGA all over it. And the officer, he should have been more aware of what was going on. So obviously there was one officer that was not, brought up to speed on the fact that these vehicles needed to have access and proceed through. And according to the ESPN reporter that was there, that's exactly what Scottie did. He didn't disobey any. He was following the one officer's orders who told him to go this way, and then the other officer overreacted and then jumped on the car or whatever. Now they're saying that Scottie drove directly at the officer, and I doubt that's the case. But the investigation will determine whatever. But I can assure you that Scottie was just simply doing what he was trying to do, is get in. And the other thing that he said in his press conference, which I fully believe, is he didn't sit there and name drop and say, I'm the number one player in the world trying to get in here. Right. And that, may have had something to do with the fact that the officer, didn't really know who he was. So, again, I think it's all going to shake out. I do hope the officer is reprimanded in some way, because you shouldn't overreact to things like that, especially a player trying to get where he's supposed to be.
Yeah, and Trip, not many players get arrested, still be able to make their tee time on time, and then not just make it on time, but be able to put it behind them and to get to 9 under and is now 2 shots behind Colin Morikawa for the lead in a major championship. What does that say about Scottie's mentality to be able to go through the morning that he did, which no one on this course will be able to relate to, and still be able to perform to this type of level?
If you have any question about his mental toughness, it was answered today. I have never questioned his mental toughness, and he's the toughest since Tiger, I believe, and he's got the most complete game since Tiger. And I think it was further tested today, and he passed the test with flying colors. And then to just give you an example of why he's a little different than Tiger is the fact of, if you got to see any of the video from his press conference about how he handled everything with pure class. Not to say Tiger's not pure class, but Tiger kept things closer to his chest than Scottie seems to, and that's refreshing in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and I think too, Trip, when you talk about what he did today, and we've talked with Bill as a coach and as a player, the routine. To go to Elijah's point, golf. Once we've as you guys all know, once you get to this level, 90% of it is in between your ears, right? I mean, I can only imagine. I mean, for most golfers, what's a disruption like that going to do to their whole day?
No, it's there's no one. I mean, like he said, he was shaking for hours, and everything when he got to the course, he was just simply trying to calm down. So, yeah. But I can guarantee you this will be the first and last time he stretches in a jail cell before a round.
Well, at this point, do you get somebody to drive you for every other tournament for the rest of your career?
No, look, and everybody's saying that, like, why was he driving? Look, players, we drive ourselves in these courtesy cars. That's what we do. Right. I mean, this is not You don't have drivers, and you're getting to the course at 4:45, 5 a.m. for a morning tee time.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it was super, super early. There's no doubt about that. And again, he'll be amongst the final groups to tee off. We'll see how things shake out right now. Who else you like right now? Obviously, Xander did his thing yesterday. Colin Morikawa today was fantastic. I know he was actually disappointed because he missed a couple of putts. It could have been birdies that he left for par. Anybody else beyond those names that you're zeroing in on?
The player who won here in my backyard last week and who also is the defending champion, Rory McIlroy.
Mm-hmm.
He is back playing the type of golf that we've seen that he's capable of. I think he's playing with a ton of confidence. His swing looks great. I walked with him a couple of holes here at Quail Hollow on Tuesday, and I was just like, I don't see anybody beating this guy. And but the only guy I could see beating him is Scheffler. And despite the bump in the road from Scheffler, he looks like he's going to be right there. And I tell you what, for golf fans, it would be a fantastic weekend if we had Scottie and Rory both playing their best, and then throw in, a Colin Morikawa, a proven multi-major winner, and he's putting nicely again. He's got his fade back, and then Xander Schauffele, who obviously has had a number of chances this year playing great golf, trying to get that first major that we know is coming for a player as talented as he is.
Tripp, thanks for joining us, man, and on short notice. We appreciate it. But what do you think has been Schauffele's downfall so much? Is like he's had so many great majors and obviously another good start here. How do you break down his game?
Well, he's complete in every way. There is no weakness, and he is a winner. I mean, he's won on tour. It just seems like some of it is bad luck. I mean, he's played some really good golf. Like last week, he played really good golf, but he's playing against Rory McIlroy on a golf course that's just it should be named after him. But he puts well. It's not like you can't point to any one thing and say, well, he's just folded under pressure like this, because he hasn't. I mean, he's just, I think, getting the right bounce at the right time, making the right putt at the key moment, but he doesn't back down. So I don't think there's anything that you can put your finger on and say this is why he hasn't won a major. But again, I say it's only a matter of when, not if, he's going to win a major.
Tripp, last thing for you. Tiger is fading today, and we all pull for him and want to see him do well, but it's just not happening. Do you anticipate time away for him to try and heal up again, or are we just witnessing, the final stages of a brilliant career?
Yeah, that's what we're seeing. I mean, for him to go through 72 holes of competition at this point, here's the frustrating thing for him is I guarantee it. He's hitting great shots, he's hitting good putts. It's just at his age and what he has to go through to get there, it just adds up over time, and he just doesn't have that ability. And I know what he's hoping for. He's hoping for the same thing that happened the last time he was in the Masters, is somehow he hangs around a leaderboard, and then he gets to that Sunday where he has a chance, like he did on the 12th tee at Augusta, when everybody else was hitting it in Rays Creek, and he knew exactly how to close that tournament, because adrenaline will get him over the edge if that ever happens. And I can assure you, as a competitor, he still thinks he can get there, but I don't see that happening.
Hey, like Bill said, appreciate you on short notice. Know you got a lot of work to do covering this one this weekend. We'll definitely holler at you for the final two majors and more coming up this summer, man. Appreciate it as always.
Look forward to it, guys. Thank you.
You bet.
Thanks, Tripp.
That is Tripp Eisenhower of the Golf Channel and Bill McDonald's longtime friend. Y'all known each other most of your life.
Roommates in college, and best friends ever since. Yeah. Unfortunate for him, but he's been a good friend to me.
Well, again, see, him being your good friend is now unfortunate for him as well, because now he's stuck with us.
Yeah, we've
got his number now.
He's friend of the show by default.
Yeah, I mean, he's that's it.
Against his will.
Last thing before I get you out of here, like Tripp just said, we are setting up for some huge names this weekend.
Yeah, it's. I even said it before the golf course got soft, but this place lends itself to the elite ball striker crowd, and that's what you're seeing rise. Even a Harris English is an example of that. This leaderboard is turning into who can ball strike it and who's in control of those irons going into some soft greens, because you can attack a lot of those pin locations.
We'll holler at you a lot. Again, we got a U.S. Open up in Pinehurst coming up soon.
Yeah.
And we looked it up, Royal Troon for the Open, so we'll have some fun talking to you about those. Good luck on the trail.
Great.
I know you can't talk about that, so other than go get some more good players, right?
I'm going to try, and thanks. Always appreciate y'all having me.
You're the best. Billy Mack Golf to follow Coach on Twitter and learn more about his team all the time at GamecocksOnline.com. And congrats on another season into the NCAA tournament. And best to Kaylin, too, and her team.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Go girls.
they're out in California. Charles Bloom got to go with them. It's a good gig.
Of course he did.
Yeah, it's a good gig.
Tough draw.
Yeah, good gig for Mr. Bloom. All right, come back on the other side of the break. We'll switch gears. Gamecock baseball, SEC baseball, national baseball. Our very good friend Aaron Fitt of D1Baseball.com, one of the best in the business, joins us to break down Carolina's chances, what they need to do, and more. Aaron joins us when the postgame show continues. Since 1936, Palmetto Citizens has been part of the Midlands, going the extra mile for members, no matter how many commas they might have in their account. Listen, all your banking can be done at Palmetto Citizens, and you can do it for less. And guess what? That means more money in your pocket, whether it's a checking account, savings account, credit cards, car loan, student loan, mortgage, home equity line, anything and everything that the big banks do. Palmetto Citizens does it as well, but they do it for less, and they do it all right here in the Midlands. My wife and I are customers. We use the Millwood branch. There are 13 others all across the capital city and the metro area. So for any of those needs and a whole lot more, especially some great rates on equity lines and car loans, check them out online at palmettocitizens.org. palmettocitizens.org. Again, they've been doing it since 1936. Like I said, join my wife and me as members and see what all they can do for you at Palmetto Citizens. Achieve your potential.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell with a few accidents to get to you that are causing some delays on the roadways this afternoon. We'll start here in Richland County. Thankfully, only one here so far to report on, and that's going to be at Long Green Parkway at Clemson Road, causing some minor traffic backup. In Lexington County, we do have a few accidents on 26 that are causing some issues. One on 26 East at Piney Grove Road near exit 104. Another one on 26 East at the St. Andrews Road exit. That's exit 106. And lastly, on 26 East, we have one on I-20 near exit 107B. We also have a couple of accidents on Millstream Road at Corley Mill Road. And lastly, one on Two Notch Road at Highway 6 near South Lake Drive.
Been talking a lot of PGA, got some baseball to get into as well. Welcome back into the postgame show. Jay Phillips and Elijah Campbell with you. Thanks again to Coach Bill McDonald for joining us, and Tripp Eisenhower of the Golf Channel. Obviously, a lot going on in Louisville today, and we'll have more on the leaderboard for you coming up in our headline segment at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. As promised, though, now one of our favorite people to talk with when it comes to college baseball, Gamecocks, and more is Aaron Fitt of D1 Baseball. And he and Kendall and Mark have been very busy these last couple of weeks projecting. And now it's almost postseason time. Good to have you, sir. How are you? You getting any sleep?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. You caught me at a game right now in the ninth inning here in Durham, Duke, and UNC with a good one going. But a lot going on. We've had schedule changes. It's been kind of a wacky weekend already.
All right, well, good. I love that when you're on location. Let's talk Gamecocks, and I'm just going to come right out and get you to either talk people off the ledge or tell them why they need to hold on to a rope. If the Gamecocks don't have a good weekend, in other words, a weekend like last weekend, are they still okay? You guys have them as a 2 right now, so that's good, but where's the downside?
Well, there's some risk here. You know, I mean, they're sitting here at 13 wins, which we always say is kind of a magic number, so they'll probably be okay regardless this weekend, but it's not a slam dunk. I mean, if they should get swept this weekend, then you head into Hoover with a 7-game losing streak, and let's say you go 0-1 there, even with 13 wins in the league and a pretty good RPI, you wonder about the optics of a team with 8 straight losses heading into the postseason. That might be enough to land on the wrong side of the bubble, if even with 13 wins in the league.
How surprised are you that there's been this seemingly precipitous drop? I mean, you did have the series win against Missouri, but that's Missouri with all due respect. But, I mean, this team shut out the number 1 RPI team in the country, Kentucky, 10-0. They run-ruled them, Aaron. And then they go to Columbia, Missouri. They win 2 of 3, but the pitching wasn't great against Mizzou. And then against Georgia, it just disappeared. And last night, it was bad. As you look at it from afar, what do you see as the number 1 giant red flag?
Well, I don't know if it's a red flag as so much as I just don't think, and I never have thought that their pitching was great. I mean, it's fine, but if you're playing Georgia, you're playing Tennessee, those offenses are going to score a lot of runs against the pitching staff that's just fine. And that's, that was kind of what we were worried about. When they went to Missouri, they didn't sweep that series, and we kind of lowered them in our host pecking order, and people were giving us a hard time about it. And the reason was because, well, you look ahead at the schedule, and they got Georgia, and they're at Tennessee, and Georgia is playing as well as anyone in the country right now. That was a scary matchup. And it wasn't shocking that Georgia won the series. It was shocking that they swept it and utterly dominated South Carolina at home. But, I mean, that's just – I think it feels like running into a buzzsaw at the wrong time. Georgia's just really hot, and Tennessee's just really good and hot. So it feels like the schedule didn't do them any favors with having those 2 stacked back-to-back, as well as those 2 teams are playing right now.
Aaron Fitt joins us from D1 Baseball. And, Aaron, I love the last postseason projections, the latest one you guys have, solely because this is the greatest narrative projection possible for South Carolina, having to travel to Clemson and then playing 3-seed College of Charleston and Shad Holbrook. How much of the narrative driving and the ability of maybe wanting to see it yourself did you guys put into this projection? Because I am hoping we get something this juicy once the conference tournaments end.
Yeah, we have a little fun with it, you guys. I'm not, let's just call a spade here. I mean, some of this stuff writes itself. But, the committee does that a lot of times. I mean, they like juicy matchup. They like storylines. Why not? Good for selling the narrative here. And so I wouldn't be surprised at all if something like that actually happens. Now, who knows? There's going to be so many places where you could send South Carolina as a 2 seed or a 3 even if they wind up as a 3. Because there's going to be a lot of ACC hosts in the region. The Carolinas has a whole bunch of teams right now vying for hosts. I mean, obviously you've got Clemson and South Carolina. But you also got Wake Forest, NC State, Duke, North Carolina, and East Carolina are all very much in the hosting mix. And so, who knows? I mean, there's a lot of different permutations here, but the most obvious feels like it's also kind of the juiciest there, which is South Carolina goes to Clemson, and hey, why not send Holbrook there, for good measure?
Yeah, that was the thing. And so I asked this, having known you for years and years now, but I said I was going to ask it this way. So this is a tongue-in-cheek. How much of a degree of snark was there when you and Kendall and Mark were doing that? I think you kind of answered it, but I'll let you delve a little more deeply.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, guys. That's like I said. We're all about narratives at D1 baseball. We're trying to tell some stories here.
Yeah. No, I think Gamecock Elijah's right. Listen, I don't know. Like I know, I know you love Teddy Cahill and his group at BA, and they sent him out to Santa Barbara, and I was like, well, that's a long way away. I think they'll be in. I'm with you. I think they'll be in the Carolinas. And I'm going to give Teddy a hard time about that when we get off the phone, because that makes no sense. Because there's just so many hosts in the region, it just makes no sense that they would send them across the country. You got to fill out those regionals in the Carolinas. Yeah.
And so if you have a team that's not hosting, let's just send them on a bus trip.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. A couple of final things for you here. Let's look around the conference. You talked about Georgia. We saw it firsthand here in Columbia, and there are some who believe Tennessee, in terms of their offense, might be even better. And you mentioned the buzzsaw that the Gamecocks have kind of run into here right now. But how many legitimate national champion contenders are there in the Southeastern Conference right now?
Yeah. Yes, what? I'll tell you what. It feels like the whole thing is wide open right now. I don't feel like we have a juggernaut, clear-cut favorite. Not that the clear-cut favorite ever really wins it all. I mean, if you look back over the years, it's very seldom. I think since 1999, the number one national seed has won it twice now, I think.
I think that's right.
And that's it. And so it's just, but that said, I just don't feel like any of the top teams have really the kind of separator pitching that we saw last year from LSU and from Wake Forest and, even Florida when they got their pitching going. So I feel like it's wide open. But, you look at the teams in the SEC, obviously A&M and Arkansas who are going at it this weekend are both very real title contenders. The way Georgia's playing right now, I have a hard time taking them seriously as a national title contender just because their pitching was so suspect for most of the year. But it seems like they've kind of figured that out a little bit, and obviously their offense is really good. I guess you got to take them seriously. Obviously Tennessee, they're the number one team in the country, and Kentucky's the number one projected national seed with what they've done. Obviously incredible in the SEC this year. So, it's probably 5 right there that we just talked about that feel like legitimate title contenders. And
does anybody want a piece of Wake Forest right now?
I don't.
Yeah. That's another one that's scary. They're just a team that's lying in the weeds a little bit. Obviously, they're preseason number one for a reason. They're very talented. Just a matter of can they get all their pitching figured out at the right time. Obviously, Chase Burns is super special. We all know that. He's right there with Hagen Smith. Jamie Arnold is probably the best pitcher in the country. But, the other preseason All-Americans, Josh Hartle and Michael Massey, haven't really had good years. But we know they're talented. They've done it before. If those guys get hot and on track in June, then watch out.
Hey, listen, I know you're at a game that's, some rivals playing, and it's in the ninth. I'm going to let you go do your job. Appreciate you as always. We will lean on you again, I'm sure, at some point very soon. But great stuff as always. Best to Kendall and Mark. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Take care.
You bet. That is Aaron Fitt. That's how you follow him. Aaron, F-I-T-T. A little bit of snark.
A little bit. But you know what? There's a lot of bit of hope for me that happens because the buzz around those games will be pretty good for us.
It would. And again, I I'm with Aaron, and nothing against, again, as we said earlier in the week, nothing at all against Teddy and the crew at Baseball America. Everybody's doing their job, and you're making projections.
Yes.
So none of this is etched in stone, obviously. This is even like bracketology, right? I mean, people give Lenardi too much of a hard time. I'm like, y'all, he doesn't actually get to do it. It's his job to project.
Yes.
But I think I still believe South Carolina is going to this tournament, and I believe they're going to play in the Carolinas. Again, what's most ideal? What's least ideal? That's a little too subjective.
Yeah, that's. I will say Santa Barbara probably not a bus ride.
No.
So if we're talking about bus rides that Aaron was talking about, I don't think we're taking the school bus to Santa Barbara.
What if they did?
Oh, that's brutal. That's punishment enough.
Like in Major League. Like, oh, that's cool. We're taking a 757. No. Your plane's over here. It's the twin prop.
All the way to Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
3 time zones away. Total opposite coast.
Listen, I remember when they used to get excited about, Tommy used to tell us they like when they added the sleeper buses like to Baton Rouge. And then later, finally, they let them fly to Baton Rouge.
Oh. That's the game changer.
Yeah, so the sleeper bus to Santa Barbara, no thank you. Lots more to do as the post-game show continues.
There you go.
Welcome back into the postgame show on this Friday afternoon. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell with you. Elijah's dad is hanging out with us. We've been guest heavy today, thanks to Aaron Fitt. He said, let me see what the score. I think that game was 6-4 in the ninth. So he was
Gamecock fans needing some help from North Carolina.
Has it gone final? Let me see, Elijah. Hang on one second. I think it must have gone final because I don't see it at the top of my. Yep. North Carolina wins 6-4. And Duke won last night, right?
Yep, Duke won last night, so they got a rubber match tomorrow.
And we were just talking about it. Y'all heard Aaron mention the A&M Arkansas series this weekend in College Station.
What a game last night.
Last night, bottom 11, no score, bases loaded, walk wins the game for the Aggies 1-0. They went 10+ without a run in that game last night, and Arkansas went the full 11 without scoring a run.
Texas A&M struck out 20 times.
That's crazy.
Hagen Smith struck out 14. Would you like to guess how many walks he had?
I'm going to say none.
0.
How about that?
We talked a lot of food today. That's a donut.
Yeah. Well,
Donut in the walk column.
I like donut.
I do. I love donuts. Huge fan.
There were
Big
so.
donut guy.
No. Okay. Y'all like this because y'all are from Tennessee.
Indeed.
Krispy Kreme this weekend apparently is having special Dolly Parton themed donuts based on recipes Dolly has, like in one of her books.
Oh,
There's like
I'm a fan. I'm
there's
intrigued.
like a strawberry something and a peach something, and then something with chocolate.
Is there a 9 to 5 donut?
No, there should be.
A Jolene donut?
That would be. I don't know what kind of donut that would be. I don't.
It tastes like
I don't
vengeance.
think. I don't think Dolly really likes Jolene. That's the kind of the point of the song, right?
Yeah, that's the point. But whatever donut can
Please
get you.
don't take him just because you can.
Yeah. Jolene must have been a real looker.
Yeah. They should have just beaten
Because
Jolene.
if she
Dolly and her
outdoes
friends
Dolly,
just
like,
beat Jolene up, man.
a banner from Dollywood. That's punishment enough.
But anyway, Krispy Kreme apparently has some Dolly Parton themed donuts this weekend, and the peach one sounded really good, actually.
I'm intrigued. Yeah.
I think it's like a jelly donut with like some kind of peach thing.
Oh, I like
And
it.
I don't know if one of them was like banana or something.
Ooh, I can see that being
banana
good.
pudding donut. Yeah.
I'm dead. Yes.
So
Sign up.
I'm under the impression that my daughters, at least the two of them that are in Columbia right now, will be. Either I'm paying for it or I'm going to get them. I don't know. I should at least make them go get them,
Yes.
right?
You pay the dad tax.
Yeah, I mean,
and
I'm
they
going.
will go
I'm
do the
paying
grunt
for
work
it
to pick
either
up.
way.
Yeah.
Y'all at least go pick them up.
Yes. Then it's a team effort.
So looking forward to that. There's a lot of games going on right now. A lot of you have asked, is there any weather delay for the Carolina-Tennessee game? We are told everything is fine. I checked with Stuart Lake a little while ago, and I tell you what I'll do before the top of the hour headlines. I'll check in with Coach Lake again from up in Knoxville and find out. But, again, Elijah's dad was checking the Tennessee area radar for us, and it looks to be okay by 6:30.
Yeah, I think thumbs up. I think at the last time we checked, right before the show, the worst was getting past in 4 o'clock, and it's supposed to be clear after that. And he's looking at it right now. He's giving us the thumbs up.
Thumbs up. All right. Good.
So far, so good. I think first pitch will be as scheduled. Feel good about it.
Yeah. Meanwhile, a couple of quick hits here. Michigan is going to, I'm not, because these aren't headlines, so I'll get to this. Michigan is going to be selling alcohol at the Big House this year.
Wow.
I didn't know they didn't do it last year.
I thought they were already doing it.
Well,
but I
this
guess-
year, you know what? It's a good idea because, Jim Harbaugh ain't walking through that door. And
it's not going to be fun anymore.
it could be a year. I'm pulling for Sharon, man. I mean, I
like Sharon more.
and they got talent, but Ohio State's going to win the Big Ten again for the first time in 3 years.
They should win they can win the national championship.
Yeah.
It'll probably be them and Georgia collision course for a few months.
You made a good point. Ohio State, basically they had a whole bunch of when they got to the bowl game, it was like a JV team on purpose,
yeah.
right?
The amount of caring
Yeah.
between Missouri and Ohio State was a total mismatch. If the game was just based on caring, which essentially was because Missouri ended up winning the game anyway, but if we just, we judged the game on cares, Missouri wins 40-0.
And then sometimes I joke, just to switch gears, about like when there's a blowout, like, hey, did Team X know what time the game started? I would not say that about Denver last night. I think they knew what time the game started.
They got up 9-2.
Yeah, they got out a quick lead, and then I think Minnesota scored like the next 100 points,
Close to it,
something like that. I think Denver knew they had to show up because that's how it works.
Yeah, that's how their jobs work.
Yeah. And beyond that, I don't think they gave two you-know-whats about playing last night. You don't get beat by 45 points in the playoffs.
I guess the team you just beat three straight times.
I really think they were like, okay, whatever. We'll see y'all at home. Anyway.
Dangerous game to play.
Yeah, it is,
That's
man.
a dangerous game to play, considering you're 1-2 at home in this series.
But 45 points? You just didn't care.
The Timberwolves had 2 runs of 20-plus straight points.
Yeah, you're
2 of them.
You're letting that happen at this point. Headlines of the day and Jack Veltri from Knoxville coming up. AAA Heating and Air, one of our favorite people, is our favorite folks to tell you about, because there's more than just one person there. Roy, Dana, the entire crew.
Team sport.
It is. Beat the seasons with AAA, and it's getting ready to get hot, y'all, and it stays hot for a while. If it's time for a system upgrade, then, they're going to tell you no at AAA. But it's not what you think. No interest, no payments for a full year if you buy a new system in 2024. You heard me right. Plus, guaranteed financing and the 15-year parts and labor guarantee. Really, it'd be difficult to turn this kind of deal down. So you need to get a free quote today. Call AAAtoday.com, or you can give them a shout, 803-677-1500. You can use that number for a quick repair or anything else, too, electrical services and so much more. Roy and Dana take care of you. They've taken care of me and my family. Tell them we sent you to AAA Heating and Air.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell. The few accidents to get to that are causing some issues on the roadways this afternoon. We'll start with the one that's here in Richland County, just one, and that's over on Assembly Street near Calhoun Street. We have plenty to report from Lexington County. We'll start with a pair that are on 26 East. One's on Piney Grove Road near exit 104, and the other one is near I-20 and exit 107B. We also have one on Millstream Road at Corley Mill Road, one on Two Notch Road at Highway 6 near South Lake Drive. And we also have one on Highway 1 at Augusta Road and one on Cedar Crest Drive at US 1 and Augusta Road.
It is 5 o'clock news time on this Friday. Welcome back in. Final hour of the postgame show as well, along with Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Appreciate you being with us. We'll start with Carolina baseball, losing last night in Knoxville by a final score of 9-3. Ethan Petrie had a home run to start or at least in the first inning for South Carolina last night, a solo shot to left. But Christian Moore hit an absolute bomb in the bottom half. He hit another home run later, as Tennessee used 4 runs in the third inning, 3 in the seventh, and moved on to a 9-3 win over South Carolina. Ty Good was not last night. 5 hits, 6 runs, 4 strikeouts in 4 innings. It just never really came around for him. He looked uncomfortable from the get-go, even fell down during his warm-ups. And I don't know if there was a mound issue, but he just seemed uncomfortable to me.
He's bouncing a lot of pitches, too. There were a lot that were, I don't want to say in the dirt because there was not really dirt at home plate, but like he was, he was getting, there's a few that didn't make it to the plate, which is odd. That's not like him. So I don't know if there's any weird stuff going on with him.
I don't know. He seemed off the entire time, and he's been a starter before. He started, I guess this was his second start of the season, if I'm not mistaken. But it just wasn't there. It just wasn't there. So look, no one's going to be surprised by this. Again, if you've just tuned in and I didn't get a chance to text Stuart, I apologize. I was trying to put my news report together. But again, Mr. Frank says everything's fine, so it's good. We'll
take his word for it.
Yeah, we're good. We're good, but we'll check again in a minute. 6:15 is airtime. 6:30 first pitch. We did speak with Aaron Fitt earlier in the program. If you guys missed it, and Aaron, has said for many years, getting to 13 conference wins, as long as your other numbers match up, you should be good. And that's where Carolina is right now. But like we said, the one caveat to all of this, with all of us feeling, at least around here, pretty good about Carolina's chances, to very good about Carolina's chances, is if you go just completely limping into this tournament. And if you go in on a 7-game losing streak, or at least you're being evaluated while on a 7-game losing streak, we always say, and whatever the tournament is, don't give them something to use against you when the margins are so thin. I still believe that South Carolina will get in, even if they are on a 7-game losing streak. That'll make them a 3 seed and probably against a really strong 1 somewhere, or 2 for that matter. But I don't know. Listen, South Carolina needs to go win a baseball game.
Baseball game. You need something right now.
And we'll talk to Jack Veltri of Gamecock Central in just a few minutes. And I know he was kind of flummoxed in his post-game report about just how Carolina did. They looked really excited when Ethan hit that home run. They all came out of the dugout and they did their little celebration thing. And I wonder how much life was sucked right back out of him when Christian hit that home run in the bottom half, because that was a shot.
Which, speaking at Dolly Parton, I think that one went to Dollywood. Yeah, I think it made its way to Pigeon Forge and Sevierville. It traveled a long way. That's crushing. That one does rip out a lot of momentum 3 pitches into that.
Yeah, and it was impressive, man. It was, and the Gamecocks just didn't ever really seem to get it back. And again, Ty Good just didn't have it last night. But even for him, he's been solid this year. And I realize it's a different role, but he just looked uncomfortable last night. I mean, physically, not sick or anything, but he just He looked physically uncomfortable on the hill last night.
Looked off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Lindsey Nelson's an interesting place to pitch because you're playing on artificial turf except for the mound. The mound is real dirt, and every other place where you play where you're playing on an artificial playing surface like Missouri, Vanderbilt, it's that way all over the place. But they do have a real dirt mound over there at the stadium in Knoxville.
And he was really kicking at it. He seemed, but again, when I saw him fall during warm-ups in the first inning, I was like, what's up here? Like, what's, and he
that was
went
an omen.
I don't know. I'm not making excuses. I'm not judging. I'm observing.
It's a microcosm of the struggles that he had, I would say. And Pitzer came in, gave you a couple good innings until he didn't. That hitting lineup is so good that once you get through the order once, they got a good read on you, and they can make you pay if you leave anything up in the zone. And that ultimately ended up happening later on in the game when Tennessee started to create that separation that ultimately was enough to win the game.
By the way, Ethan Petrie with that home run, 43 for his career. He is now in 6th place all time in South Carolina history. Continuing our integrated media headlines of the day, we mentioned it briefly in the last bit. T-Wolves all over the Nuggets last night. Again, I don't think Denver cared.
They ate Nuggets last night.
115-70.
Delicious.
The final score. Knicks and Pacers are going at it tonight in Indianapolis. That's an 8:30 tip time from Indy, with New York up 3-2. Do you see this one headed back to MSG?
I'm going to quote Zaza Pachulia from, the NBA playoffs back in 2008. Nothing easy. Game 7, baby.
Yeah.
Not going to do his Eastern European accent.
All right. There you go.
But that's I think Indiana's taken it back to 7. New York hasn't played particularly well on the road. That place is going to be loud. And the Pacers are, I think, going to be a little more juiced to keep Isaiah Hartenstein from grabbing 20,000 offensive rebounds like he did at MSG the other night.
To the PGA Championship we go, which has dominated national headlines today. By now, most of you have probably heard that Scottie Scheffler was arrested this morning around 6 a.m. after, according to Louisville police at least, he dragged a police officer to the ground with his car. That officer suffering, quote, pain, swelling, and abrasions to his left wrist and knee after Scheffler's car accelerated. The report says the detective, Brian Gillis, was directing traffic near Gate 1 of Valhalla, where the players are supposed to enter in. The traffic had been stopped after a pedestrian was struck and killed by a shuttle bus around 5 o'clock this morning. Initially, it almost felt as if some of the reports were saying that Scottie was involved in that, which he absolutely 100% was not. But they had rerouted a few things, and there was a snarl as golfers that had the early tee times were arriving in the 5 o'clock hour. We talked to Tripp Eisenhower of the Golf Channel earlier on the program about this, and Tripp has said what others have been reporting, that this officer, Detective Gillis, had not been informed that there was another policeman on the tournament detail telling the arriving golfers what they needed to do to avoid the investigation scene. And it would appear that no one told Detective Gillis that that is what was going to be happening. Now, you hear like dragged him in his car. The witness reports, and I don't know the speeds per se, but there's been no witness reports saying that Scottie Scheffler was reckless or
that he floored it.
Yeah, I mean, again, it sounds like he was going somewhere between like 2 and 5, right?
On the high end.
And that this guy was trying to grab onto his car, and it went about 10 yards. Now, again,
it's enough for a first down.
Yeah. I don't know why you're grabbing onto a car. I don't care how slow it's going. Again, you got time with the speed and they're right by the gate of the club.
He won't be able to go very far.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you run out in front of it, like, sir, I need you to stop, but you don't grab onto the vehicle.
Yeah, I prefer to be inside the moving vehicles. I'm not going to hang out on the outside of them.
I'm not trying to take sides per se. It all seems baffling to me. But again, more than anything, there was a clear both lack of communication, and then also miscommunication.
Yes,
both are true.
Mm-hmm.
You got to tell this guy, if he's up there and he's not a part of the regular tournament detail, hey, they're coming in because they got a tournament.
We're going to let them come around and let them go in.
And multiple reports do suggest that, indeed, a policeman had told Scottie and others, including ESPN's Jeff Darlington, who, again, very coincidentally, was in the car directly behind Scottie Scheffler and got all this on video. So it's all been rather corroborated by Jeff just being
there
in the right place at the right time and being one of the better national reporters in the business. But that the initial police officer did say, Scottie and all of you, here's what you need to do. And Scottie believed with 100% certainty that he was doing the right thing, which I think you can make the case that he was. Now, some have said, well, then why didn't he stop for the next guy? I don't know if he knew what the next guy was doing or if the next guy was confused, and I think the next guy was confused.
I'd be confused.
So, hell, I'm confused right now because I don't know how this happens.
Do you have a theory? I think I know what set the officer set him off so bad.
Yeah.
We're in Louisville. Maybe Scottie Scheffler gave him the L's down.
Uh-oh.
Maybe again that those are fighting words in those parts.
Sure.
That might have caused an overreaction.
Texas people don't like horns down, so then he just decided to give it back to somebody else.
Cards fans don't like L's down, you know. So maybe Scottie went up there, he told him to stop, and Scottie just looked at him and gave him one of these and goes, L's down, go Cats. And then that was probably how the fracas started. It's a theory. We're working it, but
I'm going to read this because it's in an AP report. Okay, so I'm not.
I love how you're prefacing this like it's going to be a little absurd.
Detective Gillis was transported to a hospital by emergency medical personnel for evaluation. The report said his uniform pants were also damaged beyond repair.
I read they were $80 pants beyond repair. Specifically, they put the price tag on it.
In the police report, you decided to put that the officer's pants were damaged beyond repair.
If only.
That's in a police report, man. I mean, so again, I didn't come up with that. I'm just telling y'all that's in the police report.
Pants damaged.
The officer's uniform pants were damaged beyond repair.
I am sending some thoughts and prayers to those pants. Damaged beyond repair. What has been sewn once cannot be resewn.
Yeah. I again, make of it what you will.
There are no stitches on this planet that will create that $80 that will fill that $80 void in the hearts of Officer Gillis.
Man, listen, you can take those pants to Jackie's Alterations on Forest Drive. Jackie will get them fixed like that.
Jackie's never heard the words damage beyond repair.
Jackie will fix anything.
That does not exist.
That's why Jackie's been in business in Columbia for like 40 years.
Because the words damage beyond repair, not in the vocabulary.
Not at Jackie's.
Nope, not at all. That should be the new slogan now for Jackie's.
Yeah. Free plug for Jackie's, by the way.
That's right. We don't like to do free business here. We're going to give one for Jackie's. Where no pants are damaged beyond repair.
Everybody knows. That's why Jackie's been in business for 40 years.
It's not a secret.
Yeah. He's best in town.
That would have... If
what do you need fixed? What do you need altered?
If this happened in Columbia, South Carolina...
They'd have taken it to Jackie's.
And that would not have made the police...
By 9 o'clock, those pants would have looked brand new, man.
Yeah.
Jackie, we need a rush job.
Exactly.
Xander Schauffele leads the tournament at 12 under. He is playing the back nine as we speak. Colin Morikawa today followed up his 66 with a 65, so he had set the early lead at 11 under. Scottie Scheffler is in third place not by himself, but with Thomas Detry and Mark Hubbard, who have all gone in at 9 under par. So Scheffler will be amongst the last to tee off tomorrow. Tony Finau, Sahith Theegala amongst a group at -8. Rory is on 8, and he is 6 under. Bryson DeChambeau just birdied a second ago. He is also at 6 under par. Justin Thomas is at 5 under. He is playing on the 9th as we speak. There's some of the big names for you. Tiger Woods is currently at +6. He had 2 triple bogeys today.
Ooh, one's bad enough.
Yeah, 2.
A sequel is even worse.
That's right.
A sequel no one asked for.
And finally, the Atlanta Braves back at it tonight after taking 2 of 3 from the Chicago Cubs. The San Diego Padres are in town. Matt Waldron on the hill for the Pods. He is 1-5 with a 5.49. Max Fried, after a gem the other day, back at it for Atlanta. He is 3-1 with a 3.57, 7:20 first pitch, I hope, in Atlanta.
Weather permitting.
Braves are -215 in this one, man. So that's a heavy favorite.
I was going to say if the run line is more than 1.5 runs, then that's how you know they're a heavy favorite. They might be -2.5.
I don't see the run line projection on here. Just the minus total.
That's the moneymaker right there.
Run line Minus 1.5.
Still at 1.5. Oh,
Yep.
boy. Might have to make a Venmo transaction.
All right, see what you can do. That's our headlines of the day, brought to you by Integrated Media, 803-948-8327. You can watch all of this that we're talking about better than ever, even outdoors with Integrated Media or home security. Maybe you bought one of those video doorbells and you just don't know how to hook it up. Call Integrated Media. They'll do it for you. You want a whole house security system and entertainment? Call Integrated Media. They'll do it for you. Anything in between? You guessed it. Call Integrated Media. 803-948-8327. Jack Veltri joins us on the other side of the break from Lindsey Nelson Stadium. What do the Gamecocks need to do this weekend to try to salvage something in this series? Jack will give it to us when the postgame show continues. 19 minutes after 5 o'clock on this Friday. Welcome back into the postgame show. Jay and Elijah with you. Always happy to be joined by our buddy Jack Veltri covering the Gamecocks for Gamecock Central. He is in Knoxville. Carolina Falls last night, 9-3. Jack, appreciate you as always, man. There was a hope from Coach Kingston and Coach Williams that starting Ty Good might prove to be a little bit of a difference maker for South Carolina. Obviously not the case. And I'll give you my kind of quick observation that I said earlier. Ty looked literally uncomfortable from his first inning warm-ups onward, like something was just up. Kind of give us your take.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for having me as always. But, I noticed that too, that just out of the gate, something looked off. I mean, he gives us the home run 3 pitches in, I believe, and then from there his outing just kind of wasn't really sharp at all. I mean, half his pitches were thrown for balls, so that's never a good sign. He fell behind a lot of counts, walked 4 guys, and it just something looked off, like I said. Now, the thing that I'm thinking, and we didn't get a chance to ask him yesterday just because we didn't get to talk to him after the game or anything, but my hypothesis, I guess you could say, is that something's just up where he can't come, he's better suited coming out of the bullpen. And I think that's why we've seen him come out of the pen the last few weeks as opposed to starting. I guess maybe it's just a mental thing. I'm not sure what it is. King said he was kind of like maybe amped up a little too much coming into the start, but I don't really see that. I don't think Ty's that type of dude. He's just calm, cool, and collected. And look, for whatever reason, he just got roughed up, and a lot of it had to do with the fact that he just wasn't pitching in the zone.
And Jack, now that we're going into game 2, Tennessee's throwing their best pitcher in Drew Beam, who's their only reliable starting pitcher to start off games. And now South Carolina tonight throwing Garrett Gainey, who had one of the best starting performances of the season in Georgia before it kind of went downhill whenever he exited the game. What are the expectations going to be for Garrett with less than a week's rest in terms of how far he's going to be able to go in this game, especially considering that Tennessee is throwing their one pitcher who they expect to get them 6 or 7 innings into this thing in a game that you got to have?
Yeah, and there's a lot of ways to look at it. We're talking about, Garrett not being on a week's rest when, it's only 1 day difference. And this is a guy that has pitched multiple games out of the pen before in a series. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. I still think he'll pitch, the 80 to 85, maybe 90 mark if they want to push it tonight. But I think they're doing this mainly because obviously they want to win, but they need to have this game tonight, right? If you lose this game, you lose the series. And it's not knocking Eli Jones or anything, but let's face it, Eli really hasn't been throwing the ball well lately, and who's to say he's going to start tomorrow, all right? If they're in a situation, I'm just just thinking out loud here. Maybe they want to use him tonight. Who knows? My point is, with Garrett, you get the best chance to go out there and try to lock down a win that would even the series up tonight, and then you go for the series win tomorrow. And I think the expectation, at least in my book, is six innings out of him. I think if he went 5 1/3 against a really good Georgia lineup last week, I think he can do better this week with a second crack at the rotation. But we'll have to see what happens. I do expect a good outing from him tonight, and it's going to come down to the bullpen getting those final 11, 10 outs, 9 outs, whatever the case might be. The bullpen really has to step up behind him tonight.
Talking to Jack Veltri of Gamecock Central. Carolina and Tennessee scheduled to start in just over an hour's time from Lindsey Nelson Stadium. Jack, the dugout was excited when Ethan hit that blast in the first inning. They came out, did their celebration. Again, we saw the Tennessee homer in the bottom half kind of erase that, but you were in the ballpark. Give us a body language report. As this thing began to drift away from South Carolina and the losing streak hit 4, and you haven't been close in any of them. These are young human beings. Is how much of a toll, maybe, is the question, is it taking?
Yeah, and look, they're kids. They're college baseball players at the end of the day. So this sort of stuff is gonna impact them, right? I think walking on the field after the game, and because where I'm sitting, I can't really get a gauge of the dugout or anything. I'm on the third base side. But walking on the field after the game, look, they seem down in the dumps. I remember seeing, Gavin Cassis just sit in the dugout with a blank expression on his face. And, look, these guys want to win. That's what they're here for. They want to make sure they're doing the best they can for their coaches and stuff. And the fan base and their families and all that they have in attendance here this weekend. I get it. So it's definitely tough when you lose, and who likes to lose? Absolutely nobody. So I think they seem a lot better today. I'm just watching batting practice right now, and they seem a little more fine. But I do think they're really hungry to get a win after losing these last 4.
And then from the batting standpoint, we talked a lot about the pitching staff because that's kind of where they've been held back, from getting wins in the last week or so. But scoring only 3 runs last night, it seemed like it did start off, like Jay said, mentioning that Ethan Petrie home run in the first, and they were able to get runners on at various points in this game, or the game yesterday. What do you think the big thing is in terms of maybe plate approach when you play a team that doesn't walk a lot of batters, that even though they don't strike out a lot of hitters themselves, they do manufacture a lot of outs? What's one thing that you've noticed that maybe can change in terms of their approach at the plate from yesterday's game and that can maybe change today?
So the big thing I noticed, especially with yesterday, I'm not sure about Beam yet, but we'll see how he does today. But Tennessee threw a lot of strikes yesterday. They're a team that does not walk a ton of batters, and they're high strikeouts. I mean, we saw that with the Causey guy, AJ Causey, that came out of relief, 8 strikeouts to 1 walk. So you're not going to get a ton of chances to get on base with base on balls and stuff. You're going to have to take advantage of the pitches that you do get, and so I think South Carolina needs to just be a little bit more aggressive today. If you get a pitch in the zone, go after it, hunt it, and do what you can with it. I mean, Ethan Petrie did in the first inning. Why did it change so quickly after that? And you're right, they did have their chances. They had 8 hits. I think they went I can't remember the exact number. It was 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position or something like that yesterday. So you had your opportunities, but you need to get guys on base because, I mean, when you think about Tennessee, 7 of their runs yesterday came via the home run, and they had a 3-run homer and a 2-run homer that essentially made the difference in the game. So get guys on base and do what you can with them. If you have a few knocks out of the yard, good on your part, but you got to be able to get those guys on base. And those solo homers yesterday with Petrie and Messina really didn't do a ton. So you gotta get the guys on base.
Jack, you anticipating any change on the left side of the infield? Cassis and LeCroy last night combined 0 for 8. Neither one of them got on base, via the walk as well. Tippett has had some moments. What might be different on that side?
Yeah, I'm literally watching Tippett take infield defense right now. Look, I would have started him today over LeCroy at short. Talmadge has done a fine job defensively, but his bat is just it really is. I mean, when he comes up to the plate, I'm kind of not expecting much out of him, and that's something you would think that Will Tippett would be. Someone that's not going to really do much, but he has been a lot better with the bat lately. He homered in his first at bat back off the off being injured last week, and I don't know why he's not really getting a chance right now. He's got speed too. I mean, he's a great defender. So what's the hold up there? I'm not sure. And then with Gavin, look, it hasn't been a great season for him. He definitely, the power I don't think is there as much as it was last year. But we'll see. I mean, I still think having him in the 9-hole just presents a lot of dangerous. He's not an easy out to get. I mean, when he's hitting the 9-hole, you never know what can happen with him. So all it takes is one swing. So we'll see what happens. But I would have started Tippett today.
Good stuff as always, sir. Appreciate you. Again, great coverage. Y'all check out what Jack's doing at Gamecock Central. Follow him on Twitter for a lot of his reports. Jack T. Veltri is the Twitter handle, or the X handle.
That's Twitter.
It's Twitter.
Yeah.
It's Twitter.
I ain't changing.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Really do appreciate you. We'll check in next week. Thanks.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
You bet. Jack Veltri, Gamecock Central, Carolina, and Tennessee coming up in about an hour. And again, I'm not prepared to go full on must win.
It gets close.
Boy, we have these varying degrees and play semantics with it. You better win. You need to win. You need to better win.
You better not.
You really, 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 really better win. I don't know. I don't know where I draw that line.
A win would be really, really high up on the Christmas list, but you don't want to wait until Christmas to get it. So
Something
you need
like
to
that.
do it maybe tonight or tomorrow.
Early present. Speaking of one quick bit of good news, South Carolina softball today has defeated Utah up in the Durham Regional in the NCAA tournament. Final score 2-1 for Beth Smith's team. So there's a nice win in the tourney as they try to advance. More of what's going on around the SEC in the drive around the SEC. That's coming up.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell with a few accidents to report to you that are causing some issues on the roadways this afternoon. We'll start with a few of them that are here in Richland County. One on Assembly Street near Calhoun Street that has been causing some issues for the last hour or so. Still some mild delay on that part of town. Got one on Farrow Road at Highway 555 at Killian Road, one on Greenlawn Drive at Garner's Ferry Road. We also have one on Highway 262 at Lower Richland Boulevard and one on Spear Creek Church Road at US 1 and Two Notch Road. Got a ton in Lexington County here. One on Two Notch Road at Highway 6 at South Lake Drive. One on I-26 eastbound near exit 107B. One on 26 eastbound. And that one actually just cleared. But other than that, we are sailing smoothly.
It is Drive Around the SEC time on this Friday. Welcome back in. Jay and Elijah with you. Lots of baseball to get to. And we'll start with the scores from last night. We've also had some games that were rescheduled for a little bit earlier today. So we have a couple of finals that have already gone today. We'll get to those for you. Last night, LSU took care of Ole Miss 5-1. Georgia beat Florida 9-4. Kentucky doubles up Vandy 10-5. Gamecock fans wanting the Commodores to try to get something done in Lexington.
Yep. You're going to need Vanderbilt to improve that RPI a little bit because, like we said before, if they can get past 25 in the RPI, that's worth 3 Q1 Ws.
Mississippi State edges Missouri 4-3. Auburn kind of damages Alabama's hosting chances with a 4-2 win. And, again, we talked about it a little earlier. A&M over Arkansas last night, 1-0 in the 11th. Scoreless through 10.5.
A real barn burner.
Yeah. And then a walk-off walk.
Not something you see every day.
No.
To break a scoreless tie.
Today, let's see, Mississippi State leads Missouri in the bottom of the 6th, 7-1. Florida and Georgia have gone final in 10. Florida wins 7-4.
Big win for Florida.
Yeah,
they needed that in the worst way.
Yeah. Vandy and Kentucky are at 6:30. Bama, Auburn at 7 o'clock. Arkansas and A&M at 8 o'clock. And I thought, Elijah, that the LSU Ole Miss game had already. Here we go. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, LSU today has beaten Ole Miss 4-2. So LSU's won the series.
Which means Ole Miss more than likely will be the 11 or 12, and this means more than likely you'll be facing LSU or Florida if you maintain the 7 seed in the first game in Hoover.
There's no ideal matchup at this point.
No.
There's
not in the position you're in.
Yeah, there's just not. I mean, I hate to sound and or feel that way, but at this point, you just need to go win a baseball game.
Honestly, if I had to pick, I think I'd rather see LSU because Florida could throw. Well, no, they won't be able to throw Caglione because those games are going to be on Tuesday.
Yeah, Caglione, I think, is pitching tomorrow. He didn't pitch today. So
Georgia might be in a little bit of trouble then if they lose a non-Caglione start.
Yeah.
That staff's not too good.
And you've already lost 2 or 3 to LSU or to Ole Miss earlier in the season. I don't know. Again, I
not really in a position to beg or choose.
At this point, you just need to win a baseball game.
Yeah, get one this weekend.
Yeah.
Which is why tonight's a big one because I think this is realistically your best chance of winning because of who you have starting. I think Garrett Gainey is the best pitcher on this team right now. He can give opposing batting lineups the most trouble. He's got the best stuff, and you're just going to have to ask him to do it in a situation where he hasn't done it often this year.
Well, and if I may, you only scored 3 runs last night. You scored enough to beat Georgia, per se, but
you averaged 7 runs a game and a sweep.
But you didn't. But you didn't win. You've got some guys that you're just not producing. It's all. I don't know. I know we talked about it earlier in the week, but it just feels like the wheels have just completely come off this wagon.
Mm-hmm. And in the span of a weekend, because you felt good about taking the series at Missouri.
Right.
A weekend after, sweeping Kentucky, who was the number 1 team in the RPI.
Well, taking 2 or 3. You didn't sweep them.
I'm not sweeping.
Yeah, but you did. But you shut them out shut them out in Game 3.
Yeah, didn't sweep them, take 2 or 3, and run ruled them.
Yeah.
In the final game. And then all it took was one bad weekend, and now the outlook is bleak because you have to play at Tennessee, who even if you had played them a month ago, you're probably dropping 2 or 3 because of how good this team is. And
I've said before, look, I get the levels of frustration with the coaching staff. Nobody's immune to criticism. I had somebody hit me today nicely and say, who's going to hold Mark responsible or accountable? I was like, well, listen to our interview on Monday. We asked Mark a lot of questions that I would say fall under the accountability label.
We didn't high five him.
No, what are you doing about the pitching? What are you doing about the batting lineup? What's going on with the motivation? I mean, these are the jobs of the coach. So
and he's your best pitcher. Are we going to see him pitch more innings?
Right. I mean, they weren't ready to commit to those kind of things yet. I mean, we asked those questions on Monday. You're only going to get so much. Mm-hmm. I mean, heck, we went over it with Coach Tanner to some degree, which is not his team anymore. So, I mean, and I'm not saying don't shoot the messenger. I'm just saying, we're asking these questions. I don't know why it's happening. I don't, I mean, it's kind of baffling because, again, as we keep saying, just 3 weeks ago, you beat the number 1 team in the country.
You were top 10 RPI yourself.
Yeah. I mean, you were closer to the cusp of getting into the super regional hosting than you were to not being in the tournament.
Those are real discussions we had in this type of segment. 3 weeks ago.
I mean, you were a projected 10 seed. It's like, hey, a couple things go your way, and you've got opportunities in front of you against really good teams.
Shoot, just last weekend we were telling you, it might not be a bad idea to root for Clemson to beat Wake Forest because Wake Forest is a team that's fighting to take one of your hosting spots. And now it doesn't matter because a lot of things.
No,
particularly getting swept.
Last note for you in the drive around the SEC, and this is interesting to me. Decorian Moore is a 5-star wide receiver from Texas. He is the number 3 overall prospect in next year's recruiting class. He is committed, or at least was committed, to LSU, but he decommitted this week. But I want to read part of his message, and then I'm going to get Elijah Campbell to try to see what this means. After careful and extensive consideration, my family and I have decided that it is in my best interest to decommit from LSU. I want to emphasize that despite this decision, I will not be considering any recruitment offers. I will always hold love for the entire LSU family. Thank you for all your unwavering love and support. I will not be considering any recruitment offers. Is he just going to call somebody up and go like, hey, I'm coming to your school?
I hope he knows that's not how that works.
I've seen kids say a lot of things, and the whole respect my decision.
Which is a must.
Which by the way, he didn't say, thank God, he didn't say respect my decision.
Well, then it's not a real decommitment.
Well, I know, right? But
which means he's an LSU Tiger.
I've never seen, again, I'll be honest with you, I don't follow recruits on Twitter. So, some people may have seen things like this. Wes and Chris may have seen. I've never seen a kid say, I will not be considering any recruitment offers. Does that mean leave me alone until I tell you to? What does that mean?
I have no idea. Maybe he just worded this very poorly, and maybe somebody should have helped him craft this message because what it comes across as, I will not take any other offers, and I'm not going to play the sport anymore. That was kind of what it sounded like. I was like, I'm quitting football. Are you going full Michael Jordan to play another sport? Right. Is this your way of saying so?
I am now going to run track at Baylor.
I'm going to play table tennis at Central Connecticut.
Hey, Robert Griffin was really good at track.
He was.
But he also won the Heisman Trophy.
I was going to say, I thought he was a pretty good quarterback, too.
Yeah.
I might be mistaken.
No, he won
he
won the Heisman Trophy.
Okay. There were 3 Robert Griffins, so I wasn't sure if I was confusing one of the 3 of them.
The third one.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, Heisman.
Yeah.
But also, I think, really good at track.
Yeah, not oftentimes is the third movie in a trilogy the best one, but in RG3's case, that actually ended up being the most successful version.
But I don't know. But, all the best to DeCorian Moore.
In his ping pong endeavors.
Ohio State, Oregon, Texas were the schools that he also had in consideration when he chose LSU.
Well, they better not offer. He said it.
I just think he's going to show up at Sark's office. Be like, "What's up, Steve?
I said no offers.
Hey,
I'm coming to you.
What's up? I'm coming. Oh, good. We're full. No, not anymore. You're not.
He said, I don't remember offering you because you didn't.
Yeah, you're kicking somebody off the team because I'm playing at Texas. We'll see. That's the drive around the SEC, brought to you by Herndon Chevy, your hometown Chevy dealer. Save $20,000 on new Silverados. Together, let's drive. Get you a final update on at least a final update for now, on what's going on at the PGA. And again, we will tell you about a great moment in Braves/Hank Aaron history as the postgame show continues. I know Terry likes it when I start talking
Doesn't like when the bump music plays
instead of
too
letting
much.
the music play. But this song should be an exception.
We should have more than the 30 seconds that we have of it.
Yeah. Like the whole thing.
I'm cool with just
The thing
violating
is-
every fair use law imaginable.
The whole thing, because that's what I would call a jam.
That's a jam. It classifies. That's a jam.
I don't know. The album version of that, I don't know, probably goes about, 7 or 8 minutes.
So it's not one full Freebird, but it's close to a Freebird.
The Stones have some killer live versions of Can't You Hear Me Knocking, too.
Oh, I can imagine. They've played that song a few times, once or twice.
Yeah, it's funny that it's never been on the heavy, concert rotation.
Has it not?
Not the heavy rotation.
Oh. I would have expected it was.
Because what the Stones
Paint It
do,
Black probably on
Paint
heavy
It Black
rotation.
is that one too is probably on the mid, you'll get your Jumpin' Jack Flash and Honky Tonk Woman and
Can't always get what
Brown
you want.
Sugar. Those are the heavy ones. And then they'll throw in, every night there'll be something different. They 2 or 3 that they do that are not on the heavy row. But I don't know what they're doing this year. But they're back.
They are. Again.
They're back. They're good, man. They're
Still
fun.
never seen them live.
They are fun.
I am running out of time, I would say.
Yeah, I would.
I'm running out of possible tours.
Was last time.
No, not anymore.
They're doing Kiss now. It's it's the 18th annual Kiss Farewell Tour. This time, we probably mean it.
It's farewell for 2024. It is hello for 2025.
Xander Schauffele continues to lead the PGA Championship. He is through 11 at 12 under. Colin Morikawa with a 65 today, following up a 66. He is at 11. Scottie Scheffler, who's been in the news today, Thomas Detry, and Mark Hubbard, all in the clubhouse at 9 under par. Sahith Theegala has just gone to 9 under par as well. Austin Eckroat and Tony Finau are at -8. Rory McIlroy -6, as is Victor Hovland, Brooks Koepka, and Bryson DeChambeau. So some of your big names. Tiger is not going to make the cut, and I do not believe at this point that Dustin Johnson is going to make the cut, nor is John Rahm. Actually, John Rahm is at +1. He's done. The projected cut is -1.
Yeah, he ain't making them.
And at last check, DJ was at -2, or excuse me, +2.
Dutch
And-
Fork legend.
Yeah, he's not going to make it. I'm trying to find him right now. A lot of players at the tournament. Let me see where Dustin is. Anyway, yeah, I don't see him right this second, so I don't think he's far enough down. Yeah, I'll keep. I don't want to do that.
He might be in trouble.
On live radio and try to go down the entire leaderboard. But on this date, I was telling you earlier, on this date, 1970, the great Henry Aaron got his 3,000th career hit for the Atlanta Braves. He would go on. He has his final career number, 3,771. So, again, do the math. And I mentioned this earlier, but I'll say it again. My favorite Hank Aaron stat isn't 755. Well, it kind of is. But favorite factoid, maybe? Again, take away all of Hank Aaron's home runs, all 755 of them, and the man still had more than 3,000 hits.
That's a Wayne Gretzky-esque stat.
305 career hitter. And, I remember an interview that he did with Dan Patrick years ago, and I don't know how long ago it was. I mean, Hank died a couple years ago, obviously, but maybe 10 years ago, and I'll have to paraphrase it, but I remember Dan asking him just about his approach and the way he hit. And Hank said that he had joked one time with Willie Mays, like, Willie, they'd send us back to the minors now. We make too much contact. And I just thought it was like a brilliant thing to say, right? Because he's obviously
not striking out.
Yeah. But he said, but that's just it, Elijah. He said, Dan, I got to tell you, I played this game a long time, and the only times I ever felt embarrassed or when I struck out. He said, I could not stand to strike. Again, I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, I could not stand to strike out. I would hang my head. I'd had to get over it. I just, I was a contact hitter. And again, he was a 305 career hitter. I mean, you think of
played
sluggers.
for a long time.
Yeah, 23 full seasons. You think like, sluggers aren't contact hitters that will hit for average. They're more Dave Kingman or Mark McGwire types, right? I'm going to swing as hard as I possibly can. Some of y'all don't know who Dave Kingman is, but like Elijah, your dad does. Dave Kingman
he's got two thumbs up.
Dave Kingman either hit the ball 450 feet or he struck out, and occasionally might hit a double off the wall.
My era's Jay Bruce.
But I think that Dave Kingman probably had a career average of less than 250. But he could hit the ball a long way.
So it mattered to him.
Yeah. I saw him play for the Mets in Atlanta one time, and I was like, man, you do hit the ball a long way. But on this date, 1970, Hank Aaron, 3,000th career hit. Listen, Mr. Campbell, glad you were here. Great stuff. Elijah, you got a cool dad. That's cool. That's why you're so cool. So that's good stuff. Thanks to Langston. Thanks to Bill McDonald, to Trip Eisenhower, to Aaron Fitt, to Jack Veltri. You were guest heavy today. A lot of stuff to get to. Enjoy the golf. Pull for the baseball team. Enjoy the weather around Columbia. If it doesn't rain, we'll see y'all on Monday. Be safe out there.